Whoops.
Hey, welcome to Tone Talk with Mark Uzansky and Dave Friedman. Tonight, in the beginning,
Stonehenge was created.
Yeah, there you go.
back in the 1800s.
Where amps went to 11.
Right.
I hope everybody's doing good. I know people joined at 8 o'clock for some reason. I think because the time change, the video, even though I scheduled it for 9, it said 8
Doesn't
o'clock.
follow. It resets.
Oh,
it.
yeah.
I don't know what happened, but
Yeah.
sorry for people for waiting. But thanks for pre-gaming and and hanging out. And we already got super chats and people here, so that's great. Before we get started, I want to mention. Well, first I want to introduce our guest, Marty, from Motor City Guitar.
Hey.
What's up, Marty? How are you?
Hey, guys. Thanks so much for having me on, you guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for coming on, man. I've heard so much about your legendary store that I just want to fly to Detroit just to go to see the
Please
store.
do, man. Yeah, anytime. Come on over.
I will.
We got a lot of lefties here.
You do?
Oh,
okay. No, that's a selling
Come on,
point
Mark.
right
Let's
there.
go.
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah,
meet
for
you.
sure. Hey,
Okay,
man.
wait.
Anytime.
Mark, can you pull his mic down a little?
Yeah, I can do that.
He's just a little loud, I think.
He's a little hot.
Yeah, a little hot. Coming in a little hot.
Okay. All right. How's that? Let's hear you, Marty.
How's that? Any better?
That's better. Yeah.
Is that
Well,
good?
sorry about
Okay.
that.
Yeah. No, that was just blaring at me.
Okay. Perfect.
So
All right. So yeah, I'd love to come to your store. I've never been to Detroit, so I came to Cleveland. I went to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame,
that's not Detroit.
which is not Detroit. So I know, but it was
You should
close.
do a little road trip, Tone Talk road trip
We should maybe in 2023.
for sure.
Yeah.
Are there any pharmaceutical companies in Detroit?
Probably.
Yeah. Yeah,
I'm sure
probably.
there are.
I'll give them a call. That's what I do for a living. So I'll maybe I can make a trip out of it. But so yeah, guys, I want to mention our sponsors also. So Sweetwater, make sure you guys check out sweetwater.com and go to their site. We have a link, an affiliate link below in our description of the video. So make sure you guys go. If you're going to buy anything for the holidays, please use our link. And also we've got fixpedalboards.com. So check out fixpedalboards.com with Tim, and he's going to have some new products on there soon, if not already. So
The brand new stuff isn't there yet, but it's coming. And we're going to do Mark's pedalboard build with it.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Where somehow I think I'm going to sign in as another user and have an iPhone pointing down at a board or something.
Yeah, I like that idea.
Or something like that. Seems like and just turn the sound off for that mic and just, it seems like
Right. And that way you can show what you're doing.
yeah, or we can discuss it, and then I'm probably not going to show me building it, but
Right.
or
right,
maybe
right.
we can later. I don't know. We'll see.
Okay. Whatever works.
Dave, are you going to be doing your pedal boards again?
Yeah, in fact, some of them just came in.
Awesome.
They're going to be configured a little different. They're not going to come with a bag. Unfortunately, the pandemic ended that for our bag supplier. So there won't be a bag, but it'll be all a la carte. So it'll just be the board sold separately, the buffer bay and the power supply all sold, a la carte kind of. So, and there's some new different sizes. They're going to be a smaller baby board, and some of the sizes are altered, and there's going to be some bigger boards for the people that, just want to carry around something huge, which they exist.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Definitely.
They definitely exist, man.
I don't know if I would carry it around, but I would love to have like a giant, a giant ass board. That'd be cool.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But
you might need a bigger room in your house.
well, I was going to say I don't have the room. That's the problem. So,
Yeah.
but anyway, what was I going to say? I had a lot of people in the chat already. 135 people watching.
See some
So,
familiar
speaking-
names there.
What's
up,
that?
man?
You see some
Yeah, oh, yeah, for sure.
So I want to mention to the people in the chat, and I'd like people's thoughts, and we can discuss it here. But the idea was, and I actually saw it on Lyle's channel when he went live, he limited his chat to only subscribers. And
well, to participate in the chat to subscribers.
Right. To participate in the chat, it would be to subscribers only. And I like the idea. I didn't do it for tonight because I like you mentioned, Marty, you were going to have some folks who are going to be popping in. And, you know, so I didn't want to like just limit it to folks who, you know, since they might not be subscribers. But I'm curious what people think, because it would encourage people to subscribe to the channel. And since we do have a lot of people who don't, so, and then it also get rid of the bots that we seem to be getting almost every show where they come in and they start trying to say people want a prize or something. So yeah. So it'd be good to get rid of that also. But in any case, so I'm curious what people you know, what people think. So so Marty.
Yeah.
How long you and Dave go back?
Oh, we were just discussing that.
We were just talking about that. Wow. 1976. So Dave was 6 and I was 7.
Wow. So how'd you meet?
The first time I remember Dave coming over to my house was on bicentennial 4th of July.
Yeah, but that's not when we first met.
No, we met like at your neighbor's house.
My neighbor, who was this lady, Dr. Gates.
Yeah.
What was that? Wasn't that a wedding?
I don't remember that. I remember the 4th of July thing really well.
Party. It was some sort of party or something. I think she maybe just got married or something, reception. And we lived next door to her. We were invited. And then I guess your Marty, your parents were invited also.
Yeah.
And they brought you. And that's where we met. And that was the start of it all.
And then it was like we probably spent every day with each other for the next like 15 years.
Yeah.
You know? I remember one of my earliest memories of Dave was after the 4th of July. Was like, I don't know how he always found ways to find this like cool stuff. Like in Michigan back then, like they had these like lame fireworks. It was like Class C or something. I think it's changed since then. But like all you could have was like sparklers and like those little like worm things, you know. And Dave had like these like M80s and like you know, he's like, it's funny that he makes these amps that are like blowing everything away. Like back in those days, he was like, he had all these like Roman candles. Yeah, he's blowing everything up.
You know what?
Like, where are you getting this stuff?
It was I do remember this. It was an online fireworks thing that not online.
I was saying online
catalog.
Yeah,
fireworks catalog. I don't know how I found out about this because there was no online.
Especially when you're like 8 years old or something.
And I somehow found out about this catalog. I have no idea how, and I don't remember it all.
You were always like that. You were always like, no, you always knew about all types of things. I'm like, how the heck do you know about this? There was a
catalog you can from out of state. You could order all this stuff. Like, it wasn't M80s, though. It was M60s, which were close to M80s. They made a big boom. You know, they could probably blow a finger off. So
yeah. Oh yeah.
And Roman candles,
Roman candles, flaring
some other good ones that were big tubes that
rockets,
like real fireworks, you know.
Oh yeah,
stuff. Yep. They'll launch them off in the driveway in the backyard and stuff.
Oh yeah,
didn't have to worry about stuff burning there because it rains a lot, you know. Stuff's pretty moist.
Yeah, back in the day, we used to have that in Florida also. A lot of fireworks.
Yeah.
Candles and. Yeah, we used to do crazy shit.
Well, you know, that was the good old days when they allowed you to blow your hand off if you
wanted
to. They allowed you to get on the merry-go-round at the park, which don't exist anymore, and
survival of the fittest
till you fall off and break your arm. They allowed you to do all that stuff. Why not?
Oh yeah.
And you know, and don't get me started on that. I think we were better off knowing that stuff. We learned valuable lessons quickly.
I remember you fixing the lawnmower and stuff when you were like a little kid, you know?
Yeah, that's the funny thing. I was always mechanically inclined, and I remember I remember this distinctly. So my dad was a surgeon, right? So my dad was a specialist. He was a surgeon and a specialist and like chief of surgery and all sorts of things, you know, over his career. And but he was not mechanically inclined at all. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
So I remember distinctly, we got a wheelbarrow for the house, and you had to put it together, right? You had to bolt it together,
Yeah.
right? And I remember him sitting there staring at the directions and not getting it. And I'm like, I didn't even look at the directions. I'm like, well, it goes like this, and you just to put this through here and the bolt through there, and you just, that just came naturally to me.
Yeah.
And but he couldn't do it. He was just like looking at me like going, how did you do that?
Did your dad play guitar?
No, not at all.
No music?
No music.
Oh, wow.
Classical music, maybe. I remember he used to like, kind of. Yeah. He wasn't not a music guy.
What about you, Marty? Did you come from a musical family, or?
I had like older sisters that were like listening to music. I had like 3 older sisters, So luckily one of them, my sister Nancy, had like a pretty cool record collection, Zeppelin and Sabbath and Rush and stuff. So that's where I got my first kind of hook on music,
Yeah.
Some of that stuff's still like totally like some of those songs are like still like burned into my head permanently from when I was like a little kid.
Mine.
Totally,
because I was at his house all the time, so it was burned in.
Yeah.
I still distinctly remember your room covered in posters.
Oh my gosh, yeah, 100% floor to ceiling and ceiling. Yeah. That's funny because our we spent like every minute at each other's houses, and like it was like couldn't be more opposite houses either. Dave's house was totally like Dave was the only child, and his house was real calm and peaceful and everything. And then my house with the 3 older sisters, it was extreme chaos almost at all times, And I just
but I don't remember Marion being there early on.
She may have moved out by the time we started hanging out, probably right on their way out,
But Nancy and Daria were there.
Yeah, and they'd often
and they weren't exactly
hellacious fights and stuff.
They weren't exactly, shall we say, goody two shoe type girls.
You're right. Yeah, it was.
But they were distinctly very different from each other.
For sure.
Yeah.
I just remember me and Dave like we'd be sitting there like mowing down Captain Crunch, watching TV, and like all this chaos going on, like crazy fights.
Your father screaming at them, and
me and Dave had like our own like. Remember, Dave? We had like our own like code words, and like we had like our own language. We could sit there and communicate with each other. Nobody could tell what we were saying.
Yeah, I barely remember that one.
I just kind of remembered it myself. It was funny though.
Yeah.
It was just funny because it was so chaotic, and we were just oblivious. I was like way younger than my sister, so.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like you were way younger, right? So, like, how was the age difference between you and Daria?
She's like 5 years older than me.
Oh yeah. And then Nancy was like another.
Yeah, she was like a couple years older than. Or a couple years older. Yeah, and they used to have like some insane like 70s parties too. I don't know if that was before me and you started hanging out. Like one time they had a party so big they were talking about it on the radio, like WABX or something.
I think I remember some of this.
Yeah. I was like the little kid, like hiding in the woods, just watching what was going on.
Yeah, there's some crazy stuff that went on that.
Yeah.
That's some interesting stuff.
You lived through it.
Oh yeah.
That's the best. So
yeah, he escaped to my house.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, for sure.
So I didn't know you were an only child, David.
Yeah,
that's cool.
I'm so proud of this guy because he, after high school, he moved out to California. Dave was like a kid, and unfortunately, he had both. Dave's parents were both like awesome people, and I miss him still. But he was basically like on his own, and he moved out there with like literally no connections. He just started at square one out there, and just kind of everything he did out there was just based on his own effort and his own talent. And I'm so proud of you, man.
Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah. I mean, it's and your parents would be so proud too. You were like you were everything to them.
Well, that's awesome. That's
so cool. No, it's it was just something.
Yeah, that's cool. That's so cool. Daryl Bibler, $20 super chat, but it says $50. So
Where's our $30, man?
Yeah, what happened to the $30?
I'm not sure what the 50 means under it, but thank you.
Yeah, we appreciate it, man. Thank you very
Yeah.
much. We're just joking, but yeah, that was strange. If you do have a question, let me know. Okay.
Remember watching TV back in those days, Dave? Like
what
there was
TV? There was an early cable TV.
On TV. Remember that?
On TV. I remember that.
On TV, it was like there was like this like separate box that had its own speaker on it. So we had to like mic the TV in order to record the shows. So when you'd watch the videotape, plus the video, remember the video recorder was like the size of like a suitcase, you know?
Right. Yeah. Big, huge.
Yeah, it was like the size of the TV, and then it had a thing that popped up on top of it.
Oh yeah.
Well, that wasn't even that. I mean, we're talking about what the video camera if you were trying to record it.
Oh yeah. That
was hilarious. And you had to bring half the VCR with you when you went to go like record.
Oh yeah, that was a weird time.
But yeah, Dave was into high end gear even back then. I remember like we had BB guns. We used to do like target practice, and I had like the Daisy, like the Daisy gun, like you'd shoot it and you had to like aim high because like the BB would just like drop down. Dave gets this like sweet like pellet gun. I don't even know how he figured out it's just like it was just hilarious. Yeah,
I remember blowing out the neighbors' lights in their yard across from your house. They're long gone now, so I don't have to worry about repercussions at this point.
It's so funny when you're a kid. I don't know why, but
you don't even think about this stuff, right? We did horrible things, the mailboxes and all sorts of stuff.
Oh yeah, the mailboxes, street signs, yeah.
I mean, I did the same thing. Why are kids so destructive?
They aren't anymore.
Yeah,
they don't leave the house now.
Yeah, that's true.
It was before. We were always outside. Oh my god!
Oh
yeah.
Like every moment when it wasn't snowing or something.
For sure.
Even when it was snowing, we were outside.
Yeah.
Let's
for
build
sure.
a snow fort, man. Let's ride by. We got into BMX bikes and stuff, and then
that was a big thing.
And that became
that too, Marty.
Oh yeah, we were into that. It's funny. I was thinking about that because like we had built like an entire like full on like motocross track. Remember I had that motorcycle?
Yeah.
And then the kind of thing you'd never be able to get away with today, like with all these homeowners associations and stuff. We were like freaking going crazy out there with the motocross bike. And I remember Dave, even back in those days, Dave was like totally like modding his bike. He was like a little kid.
Yeah.
And he had this like
modding my bike.
He had this like tricked out, what was it, like a GT or like a Hutch or something like that?
Hutch.
He had all the like custom rims and cranks and everything on there. It was just all like decked out.
It's the same thing, man. It was my DNA, it was just like and it just changed interests as time went on,
Yeah, you're just like, it was funny because you're just like a little kid and you knew all there was to know about all these things, all the different types of cranks and forks and stems and everything,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I went deep on that stuff.
Yeah. I remember reading about that stuff. I would get the magazines and like the mongoose parts and and all that stuff. But I just had a regular bike, but I always dreamed about like getting that stuff.
Oh no, we raced and stuff. We did.
Cool.
I mean, like at it, like races, like real deal.
That place we used to race at is right down the street from the store,
and it's still there.
Yeah, it's still there. Still looks exactly the same.
Yeah, the track's a little different now, but yeah, it's the same.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember we used to race there.
That's super
cool.
Yeah,
that was fun. That was super fun.
Yeah.
So you got like, do you remember listening to music back then? Because I remember like when I was around that age, I was listening to AC/DC. That was like my thing.
Well, it started with his sister, right? So his sister had all this stuff like Zeppelin and Rush and I don't know, all the music from the 70s,
Yeah.
And it kind of started with that. And then it progressed to like Van Halen and then Marty and I got into this really heavy stage.
Oh yeah,
for like thrash, death metal kind of stuff.
Was that around the BMX
like Venom, and King Diamond, and all this
Oh
stuff,
yeah,
like crazy Raven, and like all these bands, everything out of Krang magazine. You know what I mean? At the time.
Oh yeah.
There was that later on? Was that later on in high school?
That was probably after we started playing guitar, I think.
Yeah, after we started playing guitar. Marty started playing guitar first.
Yeah.
And then because of him playing guitar, of course, I had to pick it up too. Yeah, but he was always a better guitar player than me.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, much better. But
what made you get into guitar, Marty?
Yeah, I love music. I mean, like I say, we used to listen to those like rob my sister's record collection all the time, and loved music. And then I remember the minute I wanted to, I knew I had to play guitar for some reason. Was the I think I was like 9 years old. The Styx song, "The Grand Illusion," and there was that Tommy Shaw solo at the very beginning. I remember hearing that and being like, "Oh my god, I gotta get a guitar!" I like begged my parents for a guitar. I think like a year later, I got my first guitar, some cheap classical, and then eventually like a Magnum Explorer copy, which I still have.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah,
that was a cool Explorer, though.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I still have it, actually.
Used to put Gibson on it.
I remember it had like fake humbuckers. Like when you took the covers off, it was just like single coils underneath there.
Yeah, but I mean, it was a good solid piece of wood.
It was, yeah. I still have it.
Is it a bolt-on neck or actually a set neck?
No, it was set neck. It was like a copy of like a '58 Explorer.
That's great.
I painted it, of course, a million times. Probably I think I striped it at some point, and then like painted it with this like rock paint.
Right. You think it probably came out of the same factory as like the Ibanez factory that they were making those?
I think it was like Matsumoku, I believe. Some of that 70s Magnum stuff. So how it's weird. Some of that stuff's collectible now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Time to restore it.
Yeah. I had this substitute teacher at school, Mrs. Saunders. She was like an older lady when I was like a little kid, and she would when she would come and substitute, she'd like she was like a Woodstock kid, so she had like all these like hippie stuff on, like Jimi Hendrix pins, and she'd come in with a guitar, when I was like, like 9 years old, and everybody was like, "Oh, Mrs. Saunders is here," She'd come in and she'd be like playing guitar, and she'd be like, "All right, kids," So I was like, I think she was my first guitar teacher after school,
Yeah.
Funny though, because like decades later, she came in the store, and I was like, "What, Mrs. Saunders?"
Oh wow,
it was awesome. Yeah, she was still around.
Wow.
Yeah,
that is cool.
Yeah,
I wish I played guitar early on. I didn't pick it up until I was about 30. So
I know a lot of great players who start late though. Seems like a lot of really good players start really late.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like if you have the time to focus on it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I did put a lot of time into it.
Yeah, but you played drums.
I did play drums for a long time. That's true.
Yeah, so
it kind of helped a little bit.
I can't even put a beat together.
No
drum set. Yeah, like kick and snare is a fucking hard for me.
Me neither. I love drums.
I can't get it right. Of course, I've never spent much time trying to do it either, because it doesn't interest me in the slightest. So,
yeah, you
stuff's got to interest me to do it, and then I'll learn everything there is to know about it.
Right.
Everything, literally. That's the way it's been all my life. In everything.
You just dive in once
like I was playing baseball early on too, and I tried to be the best I could be at that, and then hockey.
I remember that, yeah.
Tons of years. And always tried my best. Went to hockey camp in Houghton, Michigan, and
stuff. I remember
that. To beat the living crap out of you at the hockey camp, by the way. Or at least they used to. Now Johnny will be too upset, or you need to go home because the words hurt him.
I don't know if it's like that.
Oh,
you think?
I actually know someone that is a goalie coach, and several times he's been let go because he spoke too harshly at the students. This is a private goalie coach. They're hired to really beat the students into being an NHL style, thing.
Right. Well,
But,
you have to be. I mean,
but they, yeah.
Okay.
Johnny was upset.
You're right.
I remember literally like you just till you practically puked. I mean, or puked.
Oh yeah.
You just go. It's like they weren't nice about it.
No. I hired a trainer for my son when he wanted to be a quarterback.
Because you got to be pushed. You have to be pushed.
He actually, I went out there and he puked right there, like his first night.
You got to be pushed hard.
he just
there's no way around it. Sorry,
his dinner just came right up. He was, but I was like, "You okay?" And he was like, "Yeah, I'll do it again tomorrow."
Note to self: don't eat dinner.
He's like, "I'm ready to do it.
Don't eat dinner first."
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it was. It was just don't eat dinner first.
Eat dinner later.
Right, about 44, maybe an hour before. But
I remember teachers like that too. The good teachers in school, for me, were the hard ones. They're the ones that if you followed by their plan and you did your best at what they were asking you to do, they would really respond to you. Like I remember a psychology teacher. You might remember this person. What was her name? Shoot. There was an old psychology teacher at Andover High School. And she was. Oh, see, I have this name of a former teacher that's in my head now, but don't remember. She was a lesbian.
Oh,
and she was really hard.
God, I can't remember. It's ringing a bell now. I can't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember her name right now off the top of my head. Anyway.
Hard like tough or hard like a hard class?
No, like she was tough.
Oh yeah.
She was tough. But if you did the work,
right,
and you got something out of the class, she was great.
Yeah.
I did the work. She liked me, so it worked out good for me in the end.
That's good.
Yeah, it's always good to, even if the teacher might be tough, but if they make it interesting and engaging,
I remember getting paddled. That's how old I am at elementary school.
Paddled.
Oh, are you kidding? No, man. I didn't get paddled ever, but
I did.
But I do distinctly remember at my private school I was in, I do distinctly remember that if someone fell asleep at the back of the class, the teacher would throw an eraser from the chalkboard at him, like at his head.
Yeah.
That stuff would never happen today.
Oh no. Well, the paddling thing, I remember when that ended up going away, but this guy, it was in middle school. I don't know. I don't even remember what I did, but he had the Board of Education. It was a paddle that actually said the Board of Education.
I love it.
It's one way to learn, that's for sure.
Yeah, and it had holes in it, so it could travel faster through the air.
Oh man.
Wow.
Modded paddle.
Modded paddle, yeah.
Yo, he was a pro.
You did not want to go in there, let me tell you.
Wow.
I got paddled for having some other kid stick a pencil in my arm.
Oh, wait, I think I remember this.
Yeah. Like blood gushing all over the place. Got paddled for getting in a fight after that.
Oh, well, you got
Yeah,
he probably deserved it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's just crazy. But yeah, they'll never do that again. That's for sure.
It's funny when I think about the things that we used to do, like waiting. We used to just go out all night waiting for. Remember going out to get concert tickets and stuff? We just we
would go like 2 a.m. We would go to the record store and be there all night long.
Yeah,
outside in the cold sometimes.
Right,
and to get our concert tickets because from. Okay, so our first concert was the Who in was that your first concert too?
That was my first rock concert, yeah.
The Who there was something before that, right?
I saw a few concerts before that, but like the Who was at
The
the
Who,
Silver
1981, I think. Yeah, it was 1981. I still think I have a program from it.
Yeah,
and,
it was like 90,000 people there.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny because so it was the Clash and Eddie Money.
Yeah,
opening up.
Yep.
Wow, what a weird bill.
Yeah, well, I mean, it wasn't that weird at the time, but yeah, it was. And I remember. I think we saw part of the Clash.
They got booed off the stage. They were pissed.
Yeah, I think so. And then
they dropped their guitars.
I think we saw Eddie Money, didn't we?
Oh, I got separated from you guys. Like I don't even remember how I got home that night.
No, you got. I think. Didn't you come to the car eventually or something? No,
that was a different concert at the Who. That was funny. It was my first concert. Remember, there was like it was at the Silver Dome, and like it was there would be like you'd have like 10,000 people at once, like rush from the stands onto the floor. Remember that day? They'd like 3, 2, 1, and then like 10,000 people would come down on the floor. So the floor had like 7 times more people than were supposed to be down there. So it was so crowded. We got separated, and I don't remember even how I remember being in the parking lot.
I think maybe somehow you contacted your dad or something.
That's right. I was trying to think about that. I remember being in the parking lot. I was actually in the parking lot when everybody else was gone. So it had to be like 4 o'clock in the morning.
I remember either that or you somehow made your way back to my car when my mom picked me up or something, because we were kids at this time in 81.
I know. I can't even remember. Or it may have involved the police. I can't remember.
It might have. Who knows?
I mean, you're like 13 years old. I just
remember it didn't. Definitely didn't slow us down.
Yeah. So
the next concert.
The funny thing is later on. So at the time, Steve Ferris played with Eddie Money, and later on he was on our show, and he brought up the fact about that. And he brought up that show.
No kidding.
On Silverdome with Eddie Money, and I go, "You're never going to believe this. I was there."
Yeah.
What did he say that happened at that show? Do you remember?
I don't actually remember what he said happened. I have to revisit the episode.
Yeah, I don't remember either.
But I go that's cool.
Yeah, that's a show.
But from that point on, concerts were a go.
Oh yeah, we saw a million concerts.
I would say from the main concert years were from 1981 to 1986 or 7.
Yeah.
Those where we saw literally every show that every rock show that came through Detroit. Some crazy ones.
Did you see Van Halen?
Oh yeah.
We saw Van Halen 1984 tour.
That was great.
That was amazing. We saw Rush.
Yeah.
What moving pictures was that? Probably.
Oh yeah. Did you? I remember seeing Megadeth at Blondie's. Were you at that one? That was awesome.
I don't remember.
I
don't think so.
Metallica at Royal Music Theater.
Royal Music Theater. So
this was when like teenage kids could get like 10 front row tickets to Metallica.
Yeah. Armored Saint.
Yeah, Armored Saint, Wasp,
and Metallica. But I remember as soon as Metallica came on, we like fucking hightailed it to the back because it started like the crazy mosh pit or something.
Moshing.
I remember that very well. It was funny. It was.
And now Wasp and Armored Saint are touring together again.
I remember Wasp was actually headlining that tour. And then like by the time they got to Detroit, Metallica had like surpassed Wasp in terms of popularity. So they were kind of, or maybe they were equal. So they were kind of like co-headlining it, trading on up. So, but I remember it was just like, we was like, 10, 16-year-old kids. We had like front row tickets, remember, from waiting out overnight at the record store.
Mm-hmm.
And
to see Armored Saint and Wasp in the front row in 1980 something was pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
Dave, I don't know if you remember this. We had these there was all these people kept on rushing the stage, like you said. There was like all this like mosh pit and everything. There's like these much older guys were behind us, and like they kept on like pushing on us. It was so tight, like we were like crammed in like sardines. You couldn't even move, And Dave's girlfriend at the time turns around to these older guys and she's like, "If you guys don't back off, my boyfriend's gonna kick all your asses."
I don't remember that. Was that Jody? Yeah, it was Jody, right?
He's like, "Oh,
shit."
And then this other guy that was with us, I remember he was like crying during the concert, and I'm like, "What's going on, man?"
With us? What with us?
We had like 10 of our friends were there because I remember getting those 10 tickets.
I don't remember.
Yeah,
I don't know who.
he was crying, and I remember like, "Hey, man, what's wrong?" And he like looks down, and is like, it's like your girlfriend's knee was like shoved right where it counts, and like the crowd was just like, so she was basically like kicking him in the nuts the whole night.
Holy shit!
He's like, oh.
That's too funny.
That was classic. And remember Sharif, our singer in our band? He was at that concert. He jumped up on the stage during Armored Saint. They like threw him out.
Yeah,
poor guy, missed the whole show.
Oh, that's a bummer. I did. Yeah. I vaguely remember that now.
So you guys were in the same band together?
Oh yeah. Oh man.
Early band when we were just all newbies on guitar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was. It was fun though. I got a classic videotape of that I'm hoping to find one day. You guys got to check it out.
Oh, if you find it, we're posting it up
God,
here.
no.
Garage party, total 80s city,
You email me that as soon as you find it, Marty.
I will. It's here at the store somewhere. We used to watch it in here back when we had like a VCR, like 25 years ago. But it's lost somewhere. But yeah, it's so classic.
Wow.
I used to have some videotapes that are long gone of old days from the 80s,
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Stuff.
Sure, I wouldn't have thrown that one away.
So sad. Hey, by the way, we've got a lot of love for
Sharif is in the chat.
Oh, Sharif is here.
Man, how are you?
What's up, Roof? Awesome.
He's in Orlando.
Yeah, he works at Disney.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm looking oh, there he is.
I give him credit, man. We used to play a lot of like really hard to sing songs. I mean, we did like Iron Maiden, like Queensryche, and all this like complex stuff, and I had like super hard to sing.
Yeah, man, he went for it.
He went for it. Yeah, he sure did. Good, Yeah, he had balls, that's for sure. Those were good times. Remember another concert that stands out was that American Rock Festival, Dave. Remember that?
Yeah, you sent me those videos of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
that was like
that.
So
that was like a
festival. Where was it? Battle Creek or something?
Kalamazoo, like a ski lodge.
Yeah.
It was Rat, Night Ranger, Accept.
Oh wow.
I think the headliner
Motley Crue.
The headliner was Triumph.
Yeah, Motley Crue, Ozzy with Jakey Lee.
Yep.
Wow. And Triumph was the headliner. Interestingly,
yeah, man. We were in the heyday of concerts. I mean, the heyday of all those great guitar players and the heyday of all that stuff. And it's so interesting to now have worked for almost all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or it's really interesting when I think about it. I don't really think about it in the time now if I could go hang out with them or something, but I go every time I go to Vegas, I go hang out with Jakey Lee.
I know that's so funny.
Every time I go to have drinks and Mexican food with Warren DeMartini. I mean,
so funny.
Eddie Van Halen. Well, there's that story.
Yeah, right.
So there's that story. So there was a lot of years that Marty and I we just kind of lost touch. We didn't really talk. And so I found out I had to go to Detroit. I think this was one of the first times I had to go to Detroit, at all, since I left. And for Van Halen. God, that must have been, I don't remember when that was, 2008 or something.
2007, yeah, that reunion tour, yeah.
And I had to go there because I think I had been in Chicago.
Yeah.
The dates before, and when they left Chicago, they dumped the guitar rack off the back of the truck and it hit the ground.
Oh, God.
And I just had gotten home. I stayed for 2 shows in Chicago with a day off in between.
Remember that?
And then I just flew home. And literally right after I got home, I got a phone call and said, hey, can you fly out again? And I'm like, oh, okay, well, what happened? Well, we're going to be in Detroit in 2 days. And, the rack fell off the back of the gate. I just really can't chance the fact it won't work. Okay, sure. So they got me a first class flight and then flew me out to Detroit. But it was on a Sunday and I was leaving like maybe that night or Monday morning or something. And I called the store thinking, hey, I'm going to call the store and I'm just going to try to convince someone to give me Marty's number. Of course, I call the store and he answers. So, just like, hey, I'm coming to town. You want to come to the Van Halen show and hang out? So literally, this was at the Palace, which is gone now. This arena that was there. I go there and Marty meets me there like really early in the day, like way, afternoon. And, just walk him in and stuff. And then you can take it from there.
So yeah, that was a trip, man.
I take the story from there.
I wasn't even gonna go to the concert. I'm like a huge like David Lee Roth era like loyalist, I guess you could say, So I was like waiting for the reunion with David Lee Roth. But like at first when they didn't have Mike Anthony, I was like, oh, I'm so bummed. I almost didn't even go to the concert. But then Dave called me and he's like, hey, you want to come meet me? We didn't even talk about like going to the show, but like Dave's like, you want to come hang out at the Palace? During the day when he's like, I gotta go work on Van Halen's rig. I thought, oh, that's pretty awesome. You're working on, I knew Dave, I knew he was working with like all types of famous people, but I guess at that point I had no idea to what extent really.
Mm-hmm.
So Dave said, and Dave isn't really like a bagger, so he didn't really like feed on what was happening. He just said, hey, you want to come hang out at the Palace like during sound, like before the sound check, like noon or something like that. And we hadn't seen each other for a long time, so I was like, oh yeah, of course, So I go out there and meet him, and I was just like geeking out big time just to be like in the arena like before Van Halen's gonna play. And I, he brought me up on the stage and like Eddie's guitars are there. I'm like, oh wow, how cool is this? This is awesome. I'm standing there where they're about to be playing, and then me and Dave just went and sat in like the bleachers and we were just kind of reminiscing for like probably an hour or two, and then all of a sudden somebody's like, hey Dave, he's coming, and all of a sudden I see this like figure kind of like moving towards us, like beelining towards us actually. And he's like obviously coming over to see, hey, Dave. And I'm like, who is this guy? I'm like, it's Van Halen. And he's making a beeline to Dave. And he's like, brother. And I'm like, what? What's going on here? Like Dave didn't lead on to this at all. I don't think Van Halen was way more excited to see Dave than Dave was to see Van Halen. And he's like, thank you so much. He's like, thank you so much for coming. And I'm like, what's happening here? I'm like, I mind you, I had no idea he was even going to be there at all,
Right.
And I'm just hanging out there with Dave at like in the afternoon, hours before the show. And all of a sudden, here comes Eddie Van Halen. He's like beelining for my old buddy, and and then he gives Dave this huge bear hug. And I'm just like, I'm in like total disbelief. I'm like, what's going on here, man?
Right. This is an alternate universe.
Totally. Then he turns to me and gives me a huge bear hug. I'm like, and you can just imagine, I didn't even know he's going to be there. And then like 20 seconds later, he's like hugging me just because I'm Dave's buddy.
Wow.
He's like, you must be Marty.
Yeah, I think I said something. I said something.
To him. Yeah.
This is hey man, this is a person I consider my brother or something. And
yeah.
And he just gave him a big hug. I probably kissed you too.
Right. Yeah.
I kissed me.
And I was like petrified. So much so that like he backs away and he's like, is this how you hug somebody? And I'm like, then he's just like, come on, man. You know, I'm just like I don't believe this.
At that time, that's the way he was.
He was so nice. I couldn't believe it. You know, it was a trip, man. He was so nice to everybody there. There was I don't know if you remember, there was like some band that he had invited there that he apparently had some like pen pal relationship with, you know, some band from like Ohio. Yeah, they were there, and it was a obviously for me a very amazing experience. You know, especially the surprise element of it.
Yeah, of course.
And then we went back to his dressing room, I remember, and we first we got to watch the sound check, which that blew my mind too. I remember Dave, I don't know if you were like biasing his amp or something, but Dave was back there just like fiddling with his amp, and Eddie was just like giving him like up and down signals, and like, you know, he's like, okay, you know, like he was all doing it by ear, you know?
Yeah. And
they're just like dialing in. Were you like biasing his amp?
I think we were playing with the bias on his amp. Yeah. That's what we were doing at
all
the time.
by ear, which blew my mind, you know?
Yeah.
So that was the EVH amp.
That was the PV amp.
Oh, really? In 2007?
Because this was the last Sammy tour.
That was the David Lee Roth tour.
That's 2004.
No, this one wasn't the David Lee Roth tour, wasn't it?
This was 2007 first David Lee Roth tour. We watched the show that night.
Oh, okay, it was. Yeah, no, it was. Sorry, I'm thinking.
Remember, we went to his dressing room after that, and then
it was EVH amp.
I remember one thing too. I remember at the sound check, I was so impressed with Wolfgang. You know, like Wolfgang, like totally won me over at that show. Like, cause first of all, he was great. He was a killer singer, nailing all the bass parts. Also, he was just so polite. Like, he was actually like asking his roadie, you know, may I go get something to eat? He's like, I didn't eat dinner last night. I'm really hungry. He was like, you know, you expect him. He's Eddie Van Halen's son. You expect him to be like this big rock star or whatever. He's just like the most polite kid. I couldn't believe it, you know?
Yeah, he's awesome.
And then we went back to the dressing room, and I can't remember. Was it Matt Bruck was there?
Yep.
He was telling us some stories that like I was like, it was just like blowing my mind about how like Wolfgang was actually the guy who instigated the whole like David Lee Roth reunion, you know?
Oh yeah.
And I was like, really, you know? And
there wouldn't have been a reunion without Wolfie.
Yeah. It was like his idea.
Yeah.
And even didn't Eddie even have Wolfgang call David Lee Roth? I think he told me.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. He was like,
story.
Yeah.
He left him a voice message. This is Wolfgang.
He's like, they told us about it. He's like, hey, David. Hi, David Lee Roth. This is Wolfgang. My name's Wolfgang Van Halen. My dad and I were
the new bass player for Van Halen.
My dad and I wanted to know if you would join our band.
Right. That crazy.
So
I think then the story is that Eddie called David Lee Roth back. No, David Lee Roth called Eddie.
Yeah.
And Eddie was like, "What are you calling me for?"
Right. And hung up on him.
Right. Yeah, he called Wolfie back.
That's right. I heard that. He did say that. Yeah.
That's crazy.
So I ended up being a huge Wolfgang fan after that, you know?
Yeah, and his album's great.
He's cool.
He's recording another one now.
That's what I heard.
I have to make another pedal board for him soon.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
How cool is that?
That's cool. Yeah.
It's funny. Generations now.
That's wild.
I remember after the concert, me and Dave went back to our old neighborhood just to kind of just check out his old house is still there and stuff. And literally in front of Dave's old house, you know, this was probably like midnight or so. I don't remember who it was that called you, Dave. It was either Matt Brook or it may have been Van Halen. I don't know. But like somebody called Dave, and they were like, at the time Eddie needed a new guitar tech, and they were like asking Dave, you need to help us find a new tech. You know exactly what I need. You know how you know. I guess Eddie is very particular about the type of guitar tech that he has, and like he was consulting with Dave, and we're literally outside of Dave's old house where me and him were like learning Van Halen songs like the last time we were in that location, you know. And now Van Halen's like calling Dave, you know.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and I'm just like, it's like blowing my mind. Dave's just on this like cell call with like Van Halen right in front of his old house, you know.
Yeah, that's weird.
That is cool. That's really cool.
I'm so proud of you, man.
That's awesome.
Thanks, man.
Deb Hart says Motor City guitar is awesome.
Hey, Deb.
Yeah, if you guys don't know about Motor City Guitar, go to their website, check it out. Motor City Guitar is a great old school, kind of how Marty and I grew up guitar store, you know? They still have posters.
Yeah.
You know, come on.
Yeah, I see some in the back.
They have everything from student stuff down, up to high end, Sirs and Friedman guitars and things like that, and all sorts of amps, anywhere from low level to high level, and drums and bass stuff, and some recording stuff, and ukuleles.
Big on variety.
And some older stuff, and some variety, and probably the best pedal selection of any guitar store I have ever seen, ever.
Thanks, man.
Where he's sitting right now, there is a pedal cabinet in front of him, and it stretches like, I don't know how long that pedal cabinet is, man. What is it, like 50 feet or something? I don't know. Maybe not.
Yeah, something like that.
50 feet across, full of every pedal you could ever imagine. So and not just like commercially available pedals. I mean, some tons of boutique pedals that are, so like if you're searching for a pedal or something, man, they have it. I'm sure they have it, but it's highly doubtful they don't.
I also hear there's a secret stash somewhere.
Oh yeah,
there's a secret vintage stash that doesn't come out very often.
That's what I've heard.
Dave's got an amazing nose for that too. That's funny. Dave will like pop in once in a while, and then like he'll just be like, I remember one time I took
cover in the corner.
I remember one time I took you in the back room before we had it, like right when we had first built it. It was a total pigsty back there, just like stuff piled up everywhere. And Dave goes back there and he just like has this automatic detector. He like goes like channels his way back through all these things, and they like finds his way right to this Marshall plexi that's like buried on the ground underneath something else.
What's this? What's it doing here? Why is it here? And then I think, was that the amp that I sold Jeff Pilson?
Yeah. He ended up sending yeah. Didn't George Lynch give it his blessing?
Yeah, no, it was great. I think I serviced it a little bit for Jeff. I basically found a plexi Marshall for Jeff.
Yeah.
And because I knew about it, and I go, I think I know where one, hang on. I looked at it when I was there once, and then we sold it. So
yeah, that was cool.
Yeah.
It's funny. I remember you mentioning it
stuff and put it in the corner.
Yeah.
Now we can find good buyers for it sometime.
Dave's definitely a gear junkie, that's for sure. He's every time you come in, there's an old vintage Marshall cabinet or something. Dave's like, oh,
hey, that's cool. How much you want for that?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. That's what you say. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I never get a straight answer.
Yeah, right. Half of those are still sitting on the stage right now.
You're just hoarding them.
Kinda.
Just hoarding them, but that's cool because you take all your pictures in front of them.
Right. We use them for backdrop.
We did a clinic at Marty's place with
Steve
Stevens.
That was cool.
That was cool. We should do that again.
Yeah, that was fun. Sammy
was
played.
Busy. Yeah, that was busy.
Sammy and Steve. Yeah, that was cool.
So I was just thinking about that because Steve was talking about. Well, we can talk about it later, but Steve was talking about doing a clinic at Sweetwater, and I was kind of like, oh, we should probably do a clinic at Motor City too.
Yeah,
if we're that close.
That was fun. Appreciate that.
And yeah, so we'll see. I don't know when. I don't know when that might be, but
the general consensus is we should do the subscribers only
for chat.
Yeah.
So, well, it gets rid of the bots and stuff. That's really the thing.
Yeah, I think we'll try it. Maybe at the beginning of the new year, or maybe the next video. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But we'll do it. Ethan Hesselschwert, thanks for the super chat. What are your thoughts on opening a music store today, given the current climate nationally and globally? And one of these days, I'll make it up to MCG.
Well, it's probably for you, Marty.
Boy, man, why not? Give it a shot. I mean, it's probably definitely different now than it was when we started. I mean, we started back in '88. Back then, you could, we started the whole store with like a $700 investment. So
Is that so? It was '88 that you started the store.
Yeah,
So that was like a year after I left.
yeah.
And I remember coming and visiting you, and you had a small little store.
Oh yeah.
I must have been 88-ish or 89-ish. I might have visited you. I remember visiting you at that small store.
Yeah.
It was just you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Back in those days, me and Melissa. Marty. Me and Melissa,
Yeah.
Yeah. Back in those days, it was just us.
And a little tiny store, and you had some old Randall stuff, RG stuff, and some various guitars and ESP and things like that. And
when did you open?
We opened in '88. Yeah.
Wow.
Little tiny store then.
But it was a little different back then for sure. As far as
did you stay at that store until you moved to this store?
There was another store in between. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were at that store from like '88 to '90, and then we were at the middle place from like '90 to '98, and then we moved here in '98. The old movie theater.
Yeah, his store is really cool, man. It's an old two theater movie theater. So like when you walk in the front of the store, the front facade has changed, but when you walk in the front of the store, there's still the movie.
Oh yeah,
where the front desk is where the
window
sales were.
Yeah,
and of course faces the other way. So it was like was that the candy? And it was the candy counter on the other side.
Yeah, same like counter. That. Yeah,
and then they had knocked down the wall in between the theaters, and all the seats are gone, obviously, but it's still kind of tiered, not totally, but it looks like some of it was built up, and then it tiers down. It's really interesting.
That's cool. When we moved in, the floor was still angled. We had to like modify it quite a bit. There was still popcorn on the ground when we moved in here.
Yeah. Well, that's then Fuzzy Monsters. Thanks for your help this week. No problem, man. I honestly can't remember what I did, but you're welcome. It's been a crazy week. Thanks for whatever I did. Let's see. Scrolling down here. I know we have a bunch of questions. Marty, Michael Penketh.
Whoa,
Mike Penketh. What's up,
Mike?
Dude?
Oh man, that's going back. Hey, what's up, Mike?
I see Mike every once in a while.
Mike's band. Mike did a party up here in Michigan. A couple, maybe 3 years ago or so. It was great.
Yeah.
It was like a cross between the movie Fast Times at Ridgemont High and the Ramones. They called it Fast Times at Rock and Roll High School.
Oh yeah.
And they actually brought in like Damone from Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Yeah.
He was there. Somewhere great. I saw a picture of Damone wearing a Motor City Guitar t-shirt. I'm like, yes.
That's great.
It was cool. They were awesome.
Hey, Mike, we should have a cocktail sometime or do something.
Sharif,
hey, Sharif. Just saying hi to
I still have the Hendrix album Nancy gave me.
My older sister. Oh, that's cool.
That's cool. Ricky Compton. Dave, do you remember Pyramid Guitars in Detroit?
Oh, do we remember Pyramid Guitars?
Pyramid was like the cool shop when we were teenagers, and before we could even drive, our parents were dropping us off there. God bless them. They let us hang out there.
Yeah, I'm sure they didn't really appreciate it, but
they let us hang out though
every once in a while.
Yeah, but Pyramid was cool. My friend Dondo worked there, who ended up working here. He's a great guitar player, super nice guy. And remember, his name was Cowboy.
Paul.
He comes in the store here now. So we're still in touch. Yeah, still plays.
Wow.
Yeah.
God, he's got to be really old now.
No, he doesn't seem like it. Yeah,
No.
Yeah, nice.
He must have been. I mean, I have no recollection. I guess
we were just little. We were just little kids, so he probably seemed
old.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, he's a good guy. But yeah, that was a cool store. They used to make guitars for Rush back in the old days, like those back in all the worlds of stage days. Rush would come down to Detroit and have guitars worked on at Pyramid Guitars.
Douglas.
Wow, wait, Sharif said, Dave, I think I bought the first guitar you made, your old Mockingbird. Holy crap.
Remember that, Dave?
Dude,
That's what you were playing.
A Warmoth Mockingbird body with a neck bolted on it, and I barely remember that, but I do remember it.
Huh.
Holy
Dave,
shit. You don't still have it, do you?
Do you still have it, Sharif?
I hope you oh, really? Wow, that would be interesting. Let me know if you do.
Do you guys know anything about Montreux Music closing down?
Montreux Music? Yeah, I remember. We used to go there.
He's wants to know
what
when
was
did
Montreux Music?
Montreux Music was I remember there was a pizza place next to it that we would always, it was like a road trip. We'd go to the pizza place in Montreux Music.
I remember New York Guitar, where I bought my first amp and first guitar.
Well, yeah, Music Master, was it?
It was a Music Master guitar, a plastic MXR overdrive pedal.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
A Silverface Fender Deluxe, which I still wish I had now.
Yeah, no kidding.
But yes, that was my first thing. And then I butchered that guitar over the years, making it a million different things, carving it differently, doing different stuff. Who was the guitar repair guy I used to go to? I don't remember his name.
Oh, there was a guy that comes in here. There's a guy that comes in here that he still comes in here. I just saw him recently. His name was Alex Ortner. I remember you had a Les Paul one time that you had him like shave the back of it down. Do you remember that?
It might have been him that he did a bunch of stuff for me. Made a body for my Music Master neck, and
I'm not sure he did that. He did the Les Paul for sure. And I remember having worked on it Pyramid. Don't ask me why I had it
wasn't Pyramid. There was another guy that worked out of his house.
That was Alex.
Was it?
Yeah, he ended up he did like the Alex attenuator. Have you ever heard of that? Mm-hmm. Same guy.
That was him?
That was him.
That's the same guy?
Holy
crap. Alex. Yeah, that's Alex.
That.
Yeah. Yeah, he was just here like a couple weeks ago.
I own the Alex attenuator.
Tell him hi if he even remembers me.
Yeah, I've mentioned you to him a few times. If you remember
doing the gear page.
Huh?
He was big on the gear page.
I remember him doing the work. He was a good guitar guy, actually. He did all sorts of good stuff.
I remember.
Unfortunately, he was the guy that might have scalped my Kramer Beretta.
Did he?
Yeah, unfortunately, but that was my fault.
I remember having Pyramid I had a Kaler put on my Les Paul, which I still
we'll leave that up to stupidity too, right?
Ooh, that was. I didn't even use a tremolo, but I was so attached to that guitar, and I'm like, I need a tremolo guitar. I don't want to get another guitar. I'll just put it on my Les Paul, and it just like totally destroyed it.
Oh,
did you restore it?
That was my baby. No, I ended up getting rid of it. Just kind of like
got rid of the Les Paul.
I did, and I regretted it because that thing was like. Well, funny thing is too, like I don't know, like 3 or 4 years ago, somebody came in. That was like a 76 or a 77 Les Paul. Had like the decal serial number on the back.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever, they did that for 1 or 2 years, and some guy came in store with one that looked just like it. I'm like, man, it looks just like my old Les Paul. I miss it so much. And you could actually see like a repaired hole where it like had a Kaler on it at one time.
That might have been it.
I know. I was like, oh, huh?
You didn't buy it back?
I can't remember if the guy wasn't selling it or what. I just remember thinking like, oh my God, I wonder if this is my old Les Paul,
Mark, take a question for a sec. I'll be right back.
Sure. Although this question is probably for you, but let me pull this one up. Vale Avenue, Marty and Motor City Guitar are the best ever.
Oh, thank you.
You have done for me and other players. Ben Dunwell.
Thanks, Ben. Good to see you, man. He's a great guy.
That's very nice.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
That's cool. I'm sure you've made a lot of friends along the way with the store.
Oh man, yeah, that's can't even count how many awesome people there are we've met over the years, and really like family. Honestly, up here, it's like grateful to be in this business. It's just so different than a lot of other industries.
Yeah,
people that we have been dealing with ever since we opened. Their kids and everything now.
Long time customers. Yeah,
big time. Yeah, it's all about that.
Yeah. Do you have a lot of competition out there?
The usual. There's like a
Car center.
car centers here. We're kind of a little bit of an isolated area, I guess you could say. We're not like in the heat of downtown. We're kind of like in between Detroit and Flint. So there used to be a lot of stores in this area, but there aren't hardly any in this general area. There's a lot of good independent shops in Detroit for sure.
Ponic Music and Sound closed down finally?
They did, yeah. That was another store we used to go to all the time. I used to teach there actually before we opened the store here.
Mm-hmm.
But they ended up closing.
You started teaching when you were in high school, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I taught at Ponic Music and Sound. Remember Wonderland? Wonderland was like the chain.
Had anything, and then Arnold Williams.
Yeah. Remember Bruce Ignator used to work there. You got your amp modified there when we were kids.
I did. I've had all sorts of modifications done over the years by Bruce.
Tech, was it Tri or Tech something? He had a company before. Natech, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, Natech. I first had a Laney that I owned modified by him. Unfortunately, I never liked the mod, but and then later I had him copy a mod that Dan Russell had done. That when I had bought an amp off Steve Goodall.
Oh,
the Marshall guy, remember him?
Was he the guy who had that like monster?
All those Marshalls.
There was some guy here in Detroit that had some like insane amount of Marshalls.
That was him.
I remember
don't know whatever happened to Steve.
I remember when we first opened the store. This was when you had already moved to LA, and like I remember like we had like 10 guitars for the whole store, and we had no Telecaster. I'm like, we gotta have at least one Telecaster. So I looked in like Trading Times, and I'm like, here's this guy has a Telecaster for sale.
Yeah.
And so we go to this guy's house. He's just talking to him about guitars and everything. He's like, and Dave had mentioned to me like, hey, keep your eye out for any Plexis, any old Marshalls. He's like, there's
here's the story.
People are going nuts for these old Marshalls, in LA at the time, and they're few and far between, So I mentioned that to this guy. I'm like, sounds like you got a lot of gear. I'm like, you got any Marshalls, And he's like, yeah, I got some Marshalls. He's like, you guys seem pretty cool. He's like, come on. And he's just like in like a regular house. But he starts taking us like through these halls in his house, and it was like there were like these like security gates in it and the inside of his house, like to get in, like from the kitchen into the hall, you had to like open a security gate. I'm like, what's that? This guy like a serial killer or something? Like, what's going on here? He's like, and he goes down, he leads us down the hall and opens his bedroom door. It was just full of Marshalls from floor to ceiling, every like custom colors, all these vintage Marshalls. I'm like, what? And apparently he was like going between like he would go between like LA and Detroit and England. And like here in Detroit, he would pick up all kinds of like Gibsons and stuff like that. And then he would because you could get those here dime a dozen at the time, And then he would go to like England and pick up Marshalls, which you could pick up fairly easily at the time, Yeah. And then he'd go to LA and pick up like these like Jacksons and Kramers and stuff like that, which were kind of popular here in Michigan, which you couldn't really get at the time. So he
had to be Steve.
I don't know who it was, but it was just I remember asking him if he had a 59 Les Paul, and he was like, "I had to think about it." He's like, "I'm not 100% sure."
That sounds like Steve, kind of a white guy that was sort of thin and tall and sort of. Do you remember?
I barely remember what he looked like. I just remember that.
Well, let me tell you. So you got an amp from him?
I can't even remember.
Well, I think I do remember that you called me once.
Yeah, didn't you buy it? Yeah,
yeah. So and said, yeah. So I got this 50-watt Plexi here. And I'm like, I want it. and you told me, he goes, okay, it's $300. And by the way, if I can turn my thing, the Marshall right behind my head, that's that Plexi.
Oh man, yeah, you mentioned that. I'd completely forgotten about that. You mentioned that was like
Plexi, and that is what I've based my entire amp line on.
That is so awesome.
That's amazing.
I've told stories about it before.
Where did you find the amp, Marty?
You know what? To be totally honest with you, I can't even remember.
Yeah. I don't.
Yeah, Dave reminded me about it like a few years ago, and I'm like, wow, I can't even remember. I'm like so happy about it.
Yeah, he sold to me $300.
Yeah,
Wow,
Started my career.
that's a deal.
that's awesome.
Yeah, essentially.
That's so cool.
Jay Busk. Speaking of Marshalls, I have a 79 2204 and a PQ3, and I want to run it like Warren did. I've been having trouble with the settings, and I want to know how I should set it.
I have no idea because I don't know actually how much he actually used the PQ3 and the 2204. So I've worked on his amps, and the thing about his amps is he would crank the masters on 2204s. So it was sort of like a plexi with more gain, because you're cranking it, you're getting all the power amp saturation, but then you got a little bit of a boost on the front end. And I mean, if I don't have no idea, nor do I think he even remembers how he might have used the PQ3 if he used it. I can ask next time I see him. Check back. Maybe I'll have an answer.
Yeah, check back. Okay.
He probably doesn't remember how he said it. I would think no.
Chuck, Jim, Marty, have you stumbled across any vintage Univox Phase 4s? I traded one to you ages ago and regret it now.
Not recently. All kinds of crazy stuff. You'd be surprised though. Like, seems like when anybody mentions something like that, like the next day somebody will come in with one.
Well, there you go. So good thing you mentioned it because it might happen.
Yeah, something about the store has all kinds of very strange coincidences like that happen all the time.
All right. So wait. So
Michael Nielsen, Dave modded BMXs, Brown Eye BMX.
Yeah, man.
Michael, I was on your live chat. You didn't even see my stuff earlier. It's funny. Sweetwater says they have 1,000 pedals on display at Fort Wayne. That might be true, but Marty has more boutique pedals on display for sure than Sweetwater does.
One thing I love about the guitar business is
the odd, cool boutique pedals. It's crazy.
That's one thing I love about the guitar business is that, like, we deal with like companies like Boss and but like then there's like a guy who makes like one model of pedal, and it's like awesome,
Yeah,
right.
Sure.
As far as like starting a company, yeah, man, there's like so many of the companies we deal with are just like, we've carried them since like nobody knew who they were. It's great to see them grow. That's one thing I love about this business is there's so many small companies that that can just start from nothing.
It's true. It's not. It doesn't. I guess the cost of entry isn't super high if you want.
And musicians are so open to trying different things. It's cool. If it's good, they want it,
There's Kyle. What's up, Kyle?
Hey, Kyle. What's up, man?
Quite interested in this episode, he said.
Awesome. This is just a bunch of old guys shooting the shit.
Yeah.
Because we're old now.
That is true. Sadly.
From the heyday of fucking guitars.
We're old.
It's still the heyday though. We still lived through it. We saw when I said we saw every concert, I mean we saw every concert. I had to remind myself. I went back to the Joe Louis Arena concert database or something that they have.
Oh yeah.
And I had to remind myself, and then I looked at the Kobo Arena database. And I had to remind I was like, wait a minute, I saw that show. There were some shows that I had forgotten about that I saw, and then I wasn't really clear on who opened for who in some of the shows.
Yeah,
I was like, oh yeah, Rat opened for them. Oh, later Rat headlined. Oh, later, yeah, we saw Invasion of Your Privacy tour and like all those huge. God, that was great.
AC/DC, Sabbath,
Sabbath with Ian Gillan at the Kobo.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I remember that.
That's awesome.
Van Halen was right around the same time.
1984.
Yeah.
Van Halen and again Rush and AC/DC was Back in Black tour or something or Dokken opening for Ozzy.
AC/DC.
It might have been the what's it called? Oh shit! For those about the rock tour.
That's funny you mentioned that. I remember
opening for someone.
I remember falling asleep at AC/DC. Don't ask me why I love AC/DC, but I remember we had seats at the very side of the stage, and we saw them twice in a row. And the second night I fell asleep, and like I remember waking up in midair because like at the very end of this concert, where the cannon went off. Yeah, this giant cannon lifted up like right in front of us. I was asleep.
Boom!
For those about to rock.
Right. That's
I was literally I was like literally in midair when I woke up. I like flew out of my seat. I'm like, what the?
That's funny.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Thanks for the super chat, Bull in a China Shop. The guitar community is fortunate to have someone with the know-how and great ears. Thanks, Dave, and thanks, Mark, for keeping this channel growing and top notch. Oh, thanks, man. Thank you.
Yeah, you guys have a great show.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, that's great. We enjoy doing it. I can't believe it's like 6 years.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy.
Wow.
Crazy? Yeah, it's insane.
It's hard to believe.
Yeah.
And there's so many more people I haven't even fucking touched on yet.
Yeah. I mean, after all these years, we still haven't had Jerry on.
You know?
Well, we're gonna, I think.
You guys are part of what's keeping the whole like music thing. I mean, remember like 5 or 6 years ago, they were saying like guitar is dead and rock music is dead and all that stuff, you know?
The pandemic changed that a lot.
Pandemic for sure changed it, but YouTube too. I mean, now it's like, it seems like it's stronger than ever in terms of like, there's so many unbelievably good guitar players on YouTube. It's like hard to believe, you know?
It is. And they're so young.
Yeah.
Some of the kids are just like so crazy talented. It's great. It's like insane.
I know, and they're doing different stuff, which I wouldn't have thought was possible, you know. But sometimes you think, oh, everything's been done, and then somebody comes out with this new thing, and it's like, what?
Yeah,
so many good players,
tons. God, I'm scrolling.
There's great comments in this chat. Whatever happened to yardsticks across the knuckles, you know?
Yeah, right.
There's some great stuff.
I'm trying to get to the questions here. There's a lot of people talking. We sure would like to see Wolf on Tone Talk. Yes,
that would be cool.
Well, this will happen, I've been told, eventually. So probably when he starts doing promo again for a new record.
Hope so. Would love to have him on.
Would love to have him on.
I saw his first show. I actually flew to Charlotte in 2007 to see the opening show for Van Halen because I was convinced it wasn't going to last like beyond third show. You know, I didn't know if David Lee Roth and Ed were going to get along long enough to make the tour happen and get down to South Florida. So I said, I'm going to go see the first one. I went by myself too. But it was Wolfgang's first show, which was cool. Corey James Guitars. Once Marty invited me to meet Petrucci. John played a guitar I made from scratch and signed my JP6. Picked up a Majesty from Marty later. Thanks, bro.
Hey, Corey. How's it going, man?
That's cool.
Yeah, that was a cool clinic, John Petrucci.
Yeah, you gotta understand, man. At Marty's store, there is literally like, you know, like you go to stores out here in California at least, and you know, it's like crickets in there. You know, you go to his store and there's just a line waiting to check out at the front counter all the time. Now, some of the stuff is not big, you know, some of it's like accessories and things like that. But it's a constant stream all day long. At least every time I've been in there, there's multiple people waiting to check out.
You're a good luck charm, man. And sometimes
sometimes it's quiet. I must come too late in the day. It gets busy later in the day.
Do you know this guy, Randy Mullins?
Yeah, Randy. Yeah, Randy was actually we were partners for the first when we first opened the store for like the first month. Randy helped get things rolling. Then he moved to I think West Virginia.
Oh.
Started a store down there, and yeah. Hey, Randy, I haven't talked to him in quite a long time.
Wow,
how you doing?
I thought this was just spam or something. Someone just messing with us.
No, Randy. Randy was was there at the very beginning of Motor City.
That's great. That's
Yeah.
awesome. We got people
Yeah.
coming out to see you, Marty. Let's see. Marty from Jeff Wright. Do you remember Chris White, who used to mod amps, lives in Garden City?
I remember. Do you remember Tri-City Music, Dave? We used to hang out there all the time. They had a guy there. I thought his name was Don, though.
I don't remember Tri-City Music at all. I remember Music Castle. I remember Pyramid. I remember New York Guitar. I remember Guitars for Stars.
Yeah.
Arnold Williams, Wonderland. Wonderland was useless, but Dave Black.
I was just gonna say, Dave, but concert-wise, Seduce and Halloween.
We saw you so many times when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And now, of course, we're friends.
Yeah. That was great. Yeah. We used to love going to see those Seduce shows. Everybody loved going to see those Seduce and Halloween shows. They were like the kings of Detroit back in the 80s, you know?
Absolutely.
Wow, that's
awesome.
Hey,
still so good too.
Nice to see you, Dave. You guys have helped me out so much. Just want to say thank you for everything. I appreciate it more than you know. Cheers from Detroit. That's awesome.
Cool.
Yeah, haven't seen Dave.
Modern Vintage asked, Tone Talk Dave, are all Friedman 100-watt heads besides the X increasing to $42.99 or only the SSV2? Nope, only the SSV2. Sorry. Unfortunately, in the market that we have now, we can't eat our artists' part of the amps, so to speak. So, we just, it's a slightly tougher market these days. And, after the pandemic now, it's a little bit recession-y and stuff. So it's getting hard to, we can't really eat it anymore. So yeah, no, just signature heads will probably be around there. So sorry. It doesn't add up math wise otherwise.
John DeShane, what's going on? Thank you for the super chat, Dave. I have an H90 coming. So do I. It's coming tomorrow. I want to route it in the loop and in front of my BE. Is it time to get a switcher to maximize the H90 and switch my other pedals? If so, what brand of switcher do you recommend?
Oh boy. I mean, our Jam stuff is great. Musicom Labs is great. There's a bunch of them are great. I kind of always pick them based upon what your needs are. So some are better suited for some people than others, depending on how many pedals you want to do and all this stuff. But I don't know. I don't know about running both the H90 in front, and here's the thing. Most stuff that does like a 4-cable method and it's all DSP based and everything, you're introducing you're doing a conversion, so an A to D, D to A conversion in front of the amplifier before you get there. I kind of like to keep it a little more pure. I mean, you could do that, but it'd be nice to maybe stick it in a loop and take that section of it out, if you're not using the effect, but you just create more latency and more stuff when the more stuff like that you stack up. That's why I like the Boss stuff so much. Like the DD500 and MD500. It's all analog dry path and stuff. So it's great.
So the H90 won't have that, you don't know?
No, and I don't. Now I haven't personally played with the H90, but the H9 is quite noisy in front of an amp, hiss wise. So I don't want to say because since I haven't played with it, but you cause anytime you do like a digital processor that it has an A to D and D to A conversion before going into the amp, you are going to introduce noise, hiss, and things. You just are.
I'm trying to think of what effect
it can be pretty good, but you're introducing hiss.
Yeah, I guess there are certain effects you could put in front as opposed to in the loop. But
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, but I would just put them both in the loop because you can do like delay and reverb after each other, and then put some more analog based stuff in a switcher in front. That's much better.
right.
I mean, it's cool. It's a cool unit. I mean, I haven't personally played with it yet, but I mean, from what I've seen, it's a cool unit.
See, for me, the way
Thorn has one, I can play with it. I mean, it's here.
yeah, I want to mess with it with the. I want to do the detune, like a detune and reverb, or a detune with delay, or something like that.
Yeah, it's cool.
It'll be cool.
I'm sure Marty's getting some.
Yeah,
if you don't have any already.
So if you don't have any on order, I'm sure you could pre-order with Marty.
Yeah, exactly.
sure. Good stuff.
I imagine you're getting a bunch of them in.
Michael Pink says, "Quiet Riot opened the Sabbath show."
Oh shit! See, now this is the detail I don't remember.
For some reason I can never remember that stuff either. I remember,
I remember, but I'll remember vague memories of seeing these bands, but
Right.
I can't quite remember who opened for who or whatever, But I do remember seeing Quiet Riot, several times actually.
Ian Ferguson says he fell asleep during a Pantera concert.
Whoa,
I fell asleep during a Radiohead concert, but that makes sense.
I definitely fell asleep at a John Mayer concert and Joe Bonamassa, both of them.
Well,
Joe Bonamassa was doing an acoustic set. And I just couldn't keep my eyes open after a while. I was just like, oh, please get back to the electric guitar, please.
Yeah, we got lots of Jake comments in the chat.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
We got to get Jake back on.
Yeah, that was such a classic episode.
There's a show. There's a show he wants to do. We talked about this before.
I know we got to do it.
If not, I'm just going to get him back on because he might be a little. It might be a little tamer of a show, but
that's all right.
It'll be fun.
The lawnmower tapes. Is there one amp that embodies EVH, Billy Gibbons, and Angus? Continued health and happiness. Thanks.
Yeah, Plexi Marshall.
Yeah.
Old vintage Plexi Marshall basically can do all that stuff.
Now, if there's a modern amp,
my new vintage line Plexi that will be happening at some time in the near future.
Yeah.
Cool. Oh, by the way, guys, you should see below our video. I just learned something new today as I was scrolling through all our options on the
After 6 years?
After 6 years. Pretty much. That our t-shirts and everything should be underneath the video. So if you guys
I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw them posted below because I have another screen open, real-time screen of the video.
Okay, so you see him. So
I did see him.
The It Depends shirt is there, tank tops. Check out our t-shirts and stuff. You can get a phone cover if you want that says Tone Talk, whatever floats your boat.
And don't pay attention to how the photos look with the graphic pasted in the middle of them. They look much nicer in person.
Right. They definitely look nicer.
Yeah.
For sure. So let's see. Kenny, how do I keep missing these things? Oh, I would love to actually visit Motor City's guitar store at some point. My Sin 1 and Plexi module came from them via Reverb. Oh, you guys sell on Reverb too?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Sell everywhere, probably.
Good.
Mostly just our own store and Reverb and a little bit of eBay.
Hey, why not?
Yeah.
Jay Busk again, thanks. Is the Hot Mod V2 closer to a Jose, a Lee Jackson, or a Caswell mod?
None of them. Closer to a Soldano mod, if anything. Sorta.
Gotcha. Here's someone. I fell asleep at a Joe Bonamassa show. Felt so bad. My wife got the tickets. Yeah, it's so funny that you said that because that was totally unscripted. I mean, that's two people who fell asleep. And no offense, Joe, but yeah. I mean, I would love to have Joe on the show, but
Joe will be on the show eventually.
Yeah, I'd love to have him on, but don't tell him I fell asleep.
Definitely a great player.
We're gonna bring that up for sure. Now.
Yeah, I know he'll rip my ass apart. Rob's Tone Zone. Marty, ever been to the House of Guitars in Rochester, New York? I've been dropping paychecks in there since '84. Sounds like your store is similar.
I've had a lot of people mention that. I take that as a big compliment because I heard it's a great place.
I've never been
Like
there
Dave
either.
said, an old school guitar shop.
Yeah.
Sounds like a great place. I've never been there.
Ben Tom says his 7th grade teacher used to smoke in the classroom and had a wooden paddle when use it daily. He also had to get on her knees and pray before lunch. Oh my God. Was that a Catholic school?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Clem Fandango. Any experience with Dan Lawrence?
Not really.
Okay. What about Matt Bruck on Tone Talk?
That'd be cool.
So.
Matt won't do it.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think Matt would do it. I think
Matt won't do it. I've asked him. Although maybe I can talk him into it.
That would be cool.
That'd be awesome to have him on. I mean, to talk about EVH guitars,
I'm gonna try.
Yeah. I know he doesn't. He likes to stay away from the limelight.
Stephen Douglas, Dave, do a PEQ3 pedal. I was gonna call it a BEQ3 pedal.
There you go.
But I actually want to do that. Actually, that's been an idea, and I also want to do a GE10 pedal. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it, but I'm going to try.
Harmonicastro says Marty's an incredible mensch with a great store.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it.
That's awesome. John Clark says, "Hey Marty, thanks for all your help. JC from Japan."
Hey, what's that? Hey, JC, how are you doing, man? Nice to see all these familiar faces and names.
Do you know the name of the original theater that's now Motor City?
I had a few different names. Academy Twin was the one most people think of it as, a Waterford Cinema. It was like $1 movie theater, so it is. This place had a pretty cool history. Like before we moved here, tons. We hear so many different stories from different people that used to come to see movies here. It kind of has like tons of mojo,
So tell the story. So on the front of Motor City Guitar, there are 2 huge Les Paul guitars.
Oh yeah.
So tell that story.
That was one of those weird coincidences. That was like almost like a miracle, huh? We were in the process of remodeling the store and adding on to the front and the back at the time. And originally it was just going to be kind of like, it used to be all glass, and it was just going to be like a closed in black front. And like literally the night, you have to go to the township and talk to them about getting their permission and stuff like that, whenever you kind of do any kind of like expansion or anything like that. And literally the night before we had a meeting with the township to talk to them about this expansion. One of the guys that worked here at the time, Scotty, went on Craigslist. I think it was the first time he'd ever been on Craigslist. And lo and behold, there's like these 2 40-foot Les Pauls that some guy had just posted on Craigslist. And apparently the guy had them in some kind of storage facility for like 10 years. They used to be on this like rock and roll diner, and he had them sitting in there for like 10 years, and he was getting ready to sell them for scrap aluminum. The people were like, "You got to get these things out of here. They're taking up the whole room and everything." And somebody told him, like, just try Craigslist. I mean, somebody might want them, and they pop up the night before we have this meeting with the township,
Wow.
And then luckily I was on my computer. Scotty emailed me this. He's like, "Oh, we just popped up on Craigslist, like 20 miles from the store." And I'm like, "You got to be kidding me, And at the time, it was like around 2008-ish. Remember when there was all the problems with the economy and stuff? And that kind of worked in our favor because, normally the townships are really like hesitant to approve something like that. They're usually like pretty much poo-poo stuff like that. So I went in there and I at the very end of our meeting, I pop out of my back pocket this picture of these 40-foot guitars, and they were actually pretty accommodating because at the time all these businesses were closing and stuff, and they were kind of happy to see somebody doing something that was like an expansion. So they were like, "Oh, maybe we could make that work. Maybe we could just call it like a facade or something like that." So as far as they were concerned, it was okay. And next thing you knew, we had them installed on the front of the store. So. The only thing is the pick guards are upside down on them, so I didn't think I could hold up for another 40-foot guitar, pair of Les Pauls that had the pickguards on the right side.
What are you gonna do?
But yeah, the timing was just it was just bizarre, and it's the same exact guitar and same color that was in our like Yellow Pages ad, and then on our street sign out by the road is the exact same guitar. So it was just like a weird coincidence, you know?
Wow. Yeah, it's like just meant to be, right?
Totally.
Yeah, it's super cool.
Yeah.
Super Zombie. The Steve Stevens clinic was awesome at Motor City.
That was a cool clinic. We'll definitely have to do another one.
Let's do another one. I'll talk to you about it. We'll figure it out.
Sammy was popping there, right? Does Sammy still live in Detroit?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, he was just in here.
Yeah, he's still in Detroit. In fact, Marty's the one who introduced me to Sammy.
Yeah, I'm gonna give Dave.
You want
Dave
to tell that story?
That was like that was back when they were saying guitar is dead too. And I remember Sammy used to come in here. He was like 14 years old with his parents, you know, just like me and Dave did back in the day at like Pyramid. Yeah. And he was so good. I mean, he would come in here and everybody in the store would just be like, wow, listen to this guy, you know? And I mean, I totally believed in him. And I was like, I remember at the time, you know, they were saying guitar is dead. I'm like, this guy would be perfect. Like a young guy, like unbelievably good player. I'm like, so at the time he was playing a different brand of guitars. And I remember calling that guitar company and I was like, listen, you guys, you know, you should endorse this kid. He's like unbelievably good. And, you know, everybody's talking about guitar being dead. Just get this kid up there and, you know, he'd be a great promotion, you know. They just kind of blew it off, you know. But then at some point, I remember Sammy bought a Friedman amp. And I was telling Dave about him. I'm like, Dave, you should check out Sammy. This kid is like so amazing. And Dave, sure enough, Dave did. And, you know, obviously they developed a great relationship, you know.
Yeah, and Sammy's career.
Oh yeah. We did that, and then I contacted Sammy, and I'm like going, yeah. He goes, yeah, I really want a cabinet. I'm like, well, let me sell you one at artist cost or whatever, and you know, let me hook you up with that. And if I'm, you know, and then I did that, and then I was in town one time, and I'm like, hey, let's come on down and let's get it. Let's go have a drink together, and so then we started our drinking relationship that has lasted ever since. But then, you know, yeah, he came and hung out, and we, you know, talked and just shot the shit. And, you know, I've helped him any way I could over the years, and you know, watch him become you know, I would venture to say one of the better rock guitar players of the new millennium, so to speak. He's truly has all the fire, and that's what's really important, the fire, you know.
Yeah.
The fire behind his playing is so severe, so fierce, you know. And technique is of course great, but he plays it from the seat of his pants, like
sure.
Like all those greats did, like, you know, like for me, like all those guys did, like the Randys and the Jakes and the Warrens and the Eddies and all those guys played from the seat of their pants. They played with like the, you know, oh shit, I might fuck this up, but I'm going for it, you know.
Yeah, right.
And Sammy plays with that ferociousness, so to speak.
Yeah,
you know, and he really does. Yet he can play so pretty too. You know, it's interesting, and he's been awesome at clinics and NAMM shows and things that we've done over time. And I hope to do some more with him. You know, because he's fucking amazing.
Yeah, he's good.
I remember we were in Europe at Henning Pauling's 42 Gear Street. And, you know, we're making videos basically while we were there, you know. And I go, hey, Sammy, you're going to do a guitar battle with Tom Quayle. He's like, I'm what? Yeah, you're going to do a guitar battle with Tom Quayle. Oh, fuck you. He did a guitar battle with Tom Quayle.
Yeah, go watch it.
And he did quite well.
Yeah, see who won.
A lot of people say Sammy.
Yeah, it's close.
I remember Sammy was a little kid, 14 years old or so, coming in here, and he played his first show in the parking lot at the store. And we had these like some of the best players in town playing with him, just really, really good musicians. And, for this guy playing his first gig, you wouldn't have believed it. I mean, it was just like jaw dropping, he was just like totally hanging with these like great musicians,
Yeah.
And, it was like seeing a seasoned pro and there's like this young kid and he was improvising, they did a bunch of like cover songs and stuff. But then at the end, they started doing like some jamming and it was just like, I couldn't believe it, It's like,
yeah, man.
He's humble too.
I saw him sit down and record a video with this one guy at the same thing in Germany that we were at, and they were like demoing these acoustic instruments, right? So he was playing like acoustic guitar, and they would switch instruments. So like he was playing acoustic guitar, and then he was playing acoustic like mini bass. And then he was like playing like a million different. They were just switching back and forth, and he was playing like this bass like a mother. Like you're just like, oh my god! And you're like watching him do this, switch roles, like really fast, and you're like, man, he's the real deal, man.
Sure,
yeah, it's the real deal.
He reminds me of Randy Rhoads too. He's very humble,
Yeah.
Yeah. Randy Mullins, Marty, do you still have that Killer Jackson soloist you had when we played?
No, I don't. I wish I did. There's a lot of guitars I regret getting rid of. But,
a lot of guitars we wish we still had.
Yeah, right. No.
Let's see. Ben Tom, it's about time for a smoke sesh. Okay. All right, go enjoy, man.
Go for it.
Yes. Take a puff for me too. Why not? Let's see. One True System. I first met Marty in 1988 when I worked at Scanlon Music. All these years later, he remains the most nice, genuine, salt of the earth gentleman in this business. I cherish his acquaintance. Long live Ice.
I know who that is. That's Dana. Dana from Berkeley Music. What a nice thing to say. Thanks, Dana. Great store. One of the best independent shops here in Detroit. Berkeley Music.
That's cool.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
Roxy Depew. Mark Stramberg Guitar sent an email today asking left players for input in which models they would like to see offered in the line. How about one with a headstock? Sorry, couldn't help myself.
Oh, here's someone. It wins the Tone Talk on Shrooms show.
Oh God.
Oh,
it was just legal. I saw it was just legalized in 3 states.
Really? Oh,
yeah.
That means it's coming to every state.
Microdosing of shrooms. Who would have thought that?
Has anyone tried those microdose psilocybin candy bars? No, I didn't even know those existed.
Me either. I mean, that's just insane. I mean, who would have thought that when I was at my
oh my god, Tone Talk on Shrooms. That might be wow.
You don't want to see me on shrooms, believe me.
Equinox. I think shrooms are legal in Detroit.
Really?
Really?
That must have just happened.
It's all coming. Tax it. Make some money.
Well, they actually say it helps with depression if you like do microdosing of that.
It also supposedly helps with people with chronic migraines also.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, very microdosing though. Like not
right.
We're not talking like
you're not tripping.
You're not tripping, but it's like helps people I know some people that have debilitating like migraine problems and it's like, utter pain for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, they should allow. I mean, because this is what I do for a living. I do pharmaceutical research. So, not myself. I don't take drugs. Too.
Oh my god! Wait, Brent, Tom, I'm in an all plant-based diet except I add black chickens, so it's vegetables, cannabis, chicken cannabis, and more cannabis. Oh, and cannabis for dessert.
Oh,
in a different format.
Okay. Oh man, Detroit decriminalizes psychedelic mushrooms. what it means. Okay.
Not sure.
I have no idea. Yeah. Oh, it helps people with PTSD. That's what I heard also. Yes.
Randy Mullins. Dave, I use fractals. How close are they to your amps, to the Sims? If you A/B directly, you'll be sadly disappointed. I'm not saying that they're not good. They're good, but if you A/B to the real power of a tube amp, done.
I just want to say, I had band practice for the first time in a while on Tuesday this week, and I just out of sheer laziness, I brought my Kemper. It sucked. It sucked. It sucked. I was just like, never again am I going to do this ever, because it was the first time I've ever really turned it up that loud to be with a drummer, and it just felt so stiff, and there's no feedback whatsoever. It was just, I was fighting it all night. Which profile sounds best? What's this? I just
Maybe there'll
hated
be
it.
something in the future from Friedman that'll solve this issue. Maybe.
Well, yeah, I hated it. I thought it was, but Michael Nielsen's comment to me when I was telling him about it, he's like, well, if you were going to front a house with it into a PA, maybe it would sound better. But I don't know. It was just, I hated it.
Something about the way amps, like Dave, your amps, honestly, all friendship aside and everything, it's just the way the amp feels. There's a lot of amps. There's a lot of amps that sound good, like especially if you're hearing somebody else playing them. Like a lot of times I'm like, oh, this guy's got great tone. And then you try the amp and it's like the amp sounds good, but it doesn't like react. It's like it doesn't play as good. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of amps that sound good, but not as many amps that play. They're not as like sensitive, I guess you could say. Whenever I play one of Dave's amps, I'm like, it's just like things just start happening that, like it just don't happen through other amps. It's like the amp, it's like you're playing the amp as much as you're playing the guitar,
Yeah.
It reacts a certain way,
Yeah.
Completely.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. It's a feel thing.
Like little things that you're trying to get to pop out. Like sometimes when you're listening to somebody else play, the tone is good, but you really don't know if that guy's getting everything he wants out of it. When you're playing it yourself, you can totally feel such a difference,
Yeah. Absolutely.
But that's what I love about your amps, man. It's just like, you can play like one chord and it's just like every note just rings out. And I like to do like a lot of upstrokes, just the way it responds, every little thing you try, it just pops right out, Love it.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. 0 Year Metal. Dave, love my new PT20 V2. It's a bit bright for me. Any suggestions on how to tame it?
Well, what guitars are you using? What speaker cabinet? What speakers are in your cabinet? What are you using? Is the first thing. It is designed to be kind of a bright Marshall-esque, kind of tone. What pickups are you using? There's a lot of variables with this. I mean, like maybe if you're using a vintage 30, it might be a little on the bright side. Maybe a greenback might be better. What kind of cabinet are you using? There's a lot of variables. Or if all else fails, I can tell you one capacitor cut out of the amp that's really easy to do that would get you a little bit more of the old Pink Taco, which was darker. If you like darker, here's the problem. Like everyone likes something different. And so for years people go, oh, Dave's amps are dark. They're dark. I didn't necessarily agree with that. You can turn the presence and treble to where they exist and the where they're bright. So then you brighten them up and then someone complains the opposite direction. So you kind of heard the videos. I mean, Pete Thorne made it sound damn amazing. Michael Nielsen made it sound damn amazing, but it might not be right for everyone. But if you email me, I can tell you something that you could easily just snip a leg of something and it would be a much darker kind of thing.
I mean, couldn't you just theoretically just dial back the presence and the treble?
There is no presence.
All right.
You can dial back the treble theoretically, but some people have this psychological thing about dialing back stuff. So, like, if they see the treble is really low, they psychologically go, it's really bright. There's something wrong. If I put an audio taper treble pot in where it reverses the taper of the treble, meaning that you have to, like what was half is now 3/4 of the way up. Then they're going, oh, the amp's dark. No, it's the same as it was. It's just the pot's in a different spot. It's an interesting psychological thing, but I mean, I'm more than happy to help you. It's really easy though. There's one cap I can tell you to cut out, and it will get you what you want.
Okay. Email Dave.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Super easy.
Equinox, Marty, what's your go-to amp and guitar?
Here in the store, honestly, it's a JJ Junior. I love that JJ Junior.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I've told Dave that for years. That's about it's funny. I play anything through that sounds good. Any guitar you play through that amp sounds good. I even played bass through it. Sounds good.
Killer.
I got on a little Gretsch kick, and I plugged a Gretsch into it, and the clean. The clean looks. It sounded freaking amazing. And then I was like, wow, I really like this Gretsch. Let me plug it into like more of like a Gretschy amp. I plugged it into like, something that you'd expect more. And it JJ sounded better. I couldn't believe it. I love that thing.
Yeah. John Clark says, Marty, tell the story about when Paul Reed Smith was in your store and got his hands on one of your vintage Strats.
I know that Strat. You tell that story, and that's a perfect time because evidently my liquids are going right through me. Sorry.
Oh, that was a good one. Yeah, Paul Reed Smith. He's a lot like Dave. He's definitely a gear guy first. He's not like some business guy who's counting numbers all day. He's a gear junkie, And he came in here and he looked at the pedals and he was as excited about the pedals as anyone I've ever has ever come in here. He was just like geeking out over it, And he was like, wow, he's very passionate. He's like, you got any vintage guitars? So I brought down some like heavy hitting vintage guitars, and I got this 155 Strat that I call like the magic Strat. It's like totally beat to hell. It's just one of those guitars that it just has a certain magic to it, And as soon as he got it in his hands, he was like he was like just sitting there for a second. He's like, this is the best Fender guitar I've ever played in my life. Like, you have to let me take this guitar,
Oh, yeah.
He's like this guitar is like Leo talking to me from, like he's like, I can't talk to Leo and Ted McCarty anymore. So like, you have to let me take this guitar and find out what the magic of this thing is, And I'm like, okay, sure, And he's like, Eric Johnson is looking for a 55 Strat. You want to sell it, At the time, I wasn't really trying to sell it, And I'm like, yeah, go ahead. And he's like, I'll make a copy of it for you, and I'll make one for Eric, and I'll make one for me, and I'll make one for this other guy, And I'm like, sure, So he took the guitar, and sure enough, he made like an incredible. Like apparently he just diagnosed whatever he thought made this guitar tick, and he replicated it. It was unbelievable what he did, and he ended up only making one copy, and he gave it to me. So I was really honored by that, and I still have it, of course.
Wow. So the guitar that you had, the 55 Strat, ended up going to Eric Johnson? No,
Eric Johnson. Paul had it for probably like 4 or 5 months, maybe 6 months, and then he let Eric Johnson take it, and that's a whole other story. Eric Johnson, I got some great pictures of him like playing it, and I talked to him about it. But we ended up getting it back, and
I've seen this guitar.
Oh, it's a killer guitar.
So you still have it?
Oh yeah, I'll never get rid of that or the one he made of it. He made
a hardtail, right? Isn't it? Or no?
No, it's a trem.
It's a trem. Didn't you have another one that was a hardtail? No.
A long time ago, I had one. Yeah.
Oh.
But anyways, it was interesting because he made this duplicate of the guitar. I remember he at first he said the only thing I'm not gonna be able to do is I can't do because it's a one piece ash body. That's one thing we can't do is a one piece ash body, but somehow they ended up finding even a one piece ash body too. So they replicated it in every way.
So is this kind of what the Silver Skies were based off of, maybe?
Well, that's the second part of the story. He so like a year later or so, maybe a year and a half later, he called me back and he's like, "Hey Marty, you still got that 55 Strat and the one that I made?" And I'm like, "Of course, you know." He's like, "Is there any way I could borrow that back?" You know, and I'm like, "Yeah, of course," you know, and he's like, "Any chance you got any 60s Strats?" You know, and I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Any chance I could borrow that too?" And I'm like, "Yeah, what's going on? You mind if I ask what's going on?" He's like, "I'm working on this project, you know." So I had this one 65 Strat that was a refin, you know. And I'm like, "Is it okay if it's refinished?" And he's like, "Yeah, perfect." He's like, "If you let me borrow it, I'll refinish it back to the original color too." And I'm like, "Oh, awesome."
Wow.
So he took all three of those guitars, but you know, the 55, the duplicate he made, and then the 65. And then and I asked him, like, what's it for? And he just said it was for a project he was working on, which I assume probably had something to do with that, you know. And then so he eventually sent back all three of them, and he had refinished the 65. And then a year or so later, I think the that Silver Sky came out. So hopefully it had something to do with that.
Pretty sure it did.
Exactly like
I'm pretty positive it did.
Yeah,
it probably did. What did the refin? What color?
Sunburst. You could we took out the output jack in it. You could tell it was originally Sunburst. It was natural, refinished to natural.
So, yeah, they always did that in the 70s, didn't they?
Yeah.
Strip it off, put some varnish on it.
Yeah. He's a great guy too, Paul Reed Smith. He's again, he reminds me of you, Dave. He's very much a gear guy first, you know. The whole business thing is secondary. He's a gear lover and a gear junkie, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
YMESYDT. If that stands for something, let me know. Hey Dave, why hasn't anyone made an amp with a small 1 watt, 5 watt, or 20 watt power amp and then a secondary reamp power amp, kind of like building a power station into the amp?
It was done. It was the shoot.
Was that THD?
No. Frank Lamara was involved with it originally with Mark Sampson. And later they sold it. I'm sorry, I'm forgetting it. I'm forgetting the name of the company. Shoot. Guys, help me. Mark Sampson was involved with it, and so was Frank Lamara from Detroit. And it was called Nope. And it was a loaded down 20 watt amp I'll remember it eventually. And probably after we're done. Into a 100 watt power section. And it's exactly what you're calling it. Exactly. And for the life of me, I can't remember the name of it right now.
Okay.
Showing my age.
Ben Tom, when you play a Friedman, you're like, fuck yeah. Okay, yeah, I agree. Let's see. Vinny, what's up, Vinny? Hey, gents, Dave, which Friedman amp are you most proud of, and which one is your favorite?
That's really hard, Vinny.
Good question.
Come on, man. Boy. Can I tell you that my top 3? Sure, that's tough. That's almost impossible. What's your favorite child?
Yeah, right. That's exactly what I was thinking.
It's like, that's hard. Like I want to say my top 3, but then again, but then there's a 4th, yeah. That's impossible. Some of my favorites. Okay. Can we categorize them a bit?
I'm curious about this too.
My 2 favorite signature amps would be the Jakey Lee and the Steve Stevens. Okay, that's a category. Standard production amps. Well, the BE100 Deluxe, as it sits now, is a favorite. but my small box is maybe more of a favorite.
I knew you were going to say that.
But to be honest, I mean, there's elements of the Twin Sister or Dirty Shirley circuit that I love too. So I can't pick. So I mean, I do like the simplicity of the Jake amp and the simplicity of the small box amp. For simplicity's sake, I like that stuff a lot.
We've been talking about doing a Motor City amp.
Yeah, we've been talking about doing a custom Motor City amp.
Yeah,
that's an exclusive for Motor City. I'm not sure what it's going to be yet, but we're talking about that. Yeah. Then I have to talk it up the ladder a little bit, but shouldn't be a problem.
I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah,
that would be awesome.
We've done it before. I don't see why we can't do it for you, especially you. So I
was thinking like something with like a based off of like a small box, possibly. I
was kind of thinking of something like that. Yeah, and maybe with some of my tweaks or something.
That's what I was thinking. If you could put if Dave could find like the Detroit sound, do like a Detroit theme.
Yeah. I actually sort of think I know what I would do.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I'd love to do that.
I want to do that and make it look kind of cool. Maybe all black, like blacked out, like totally
I'd like to see,
out.
Or maybe we could do two different versions, like an all white one too. Would be cool. I remember one moment that stands out for me was I remember when I'm a huge Zeppelin fan, and when Led Zeppelin did the Kennedy Awards show, that was like when there was that White Friedman there.
Yeah,
I remember watching that, and I was just like beaming with pride. That was like right around the beginning, wasn't it? Of what would you?
And it wasn't the beginning, but yeah, it was early on. That was Chris Shiflett from the Foo Fighters amp.
I was just so stoked when I saw that. I'm like, because I'm like sitting there watching Jimmy Page, like totally getting into it. Robert Plant was like crying. And then there's this beautiful, like, White Friedman amp right there. And the whole performance was just so magical,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then your amp right there in the middle of the stage. I was just like, Dave, man, I was high-fiving you big time. It was like, to me, I still watch that. That was such a great thing,
Yeah, that's a great show.
Yeah.
Marty, what's your go-to guitar?
It kind of changes. I had this one Ibanez guitar I played for years, but in the past few years, I switch on and off quite a bit. Actually, it's funny. I've learned that I've had a lot of like unusual guitars come into my hands lately that just kind of I'm bonding with. Some of which are guitars that I would never have normally liked. I always try to tell customers like don't think about it too much. Just wait till the guitar's in your hands. You'll know when it's the right one. You know how that goes.
That's true.
Right.
One of my favorite guitars right now is one that, like, on paper is like there's nothing about it I should like, but I just love the guitar. I just like the way it plays, the way it sounds. It's just like, well, don't think about it too much.
Which one is this?
It's a Carbon, which normally I'm not a big Carbon guitar fan, to be honest with you. For some reason, I'm always finding myself picking that guitar up. Yeah, but there's a lot of different guitars. There's just so many. I'm like a lifelong Les Paul guy, so always if I had to pick one, it'd probably be that.
That's cool. Tom and Lisa, Marty is the man. I was buying with another Motor City customer trying to get the last Jakey Lee head. It was a total nail biter. Almost had a stroke. Marty took care of me. A+ service.
Oh, cool. Thanks.
Oh, he was in a buying war with another Motor City customer trying to buy the last Jakey Lee.
I could probably sell another 200 of those.
Oh, at least.
They've gone up in price, man.
I could probably sell another, but I can't do it.
Yeah.
We said we would make it in, a limited run.
That's it.
And I can't, as much as I'd like to, I mean, I don't think that's fair to the people who bought them.
That's true.
I don't think it is.
It's not.
Maybe there'll be something else in the future, though.
Yeah, for sure.
That's cool that you feel that way, because I agree. People would be pissed.
I would love to do it. I would literally love to sell another 200 of them, no problem.
Right.
But maybe there's something else in the future.
Yeah.
Something.
Well, you
smaller.
did it exclusive in red. I mean, you could do it.
Maybe something smaller.
Oh, hint.
And, yeah.
Put me down for a bunch of those.
Modern Vintage wants to know, Marty, what does the PRS Strat copy Paul made look like? A Strat with S-style headstock or PRS custom body? Can you show us the guitar or photos of it?
It looks, well, I mean, it looks, let's see. I mean, it looks exactly like the original, except for it's not relics. The original one is like every square inch of it is beat to hell, you know? He didn't
Including
relic
the
this one,
case.
but what's that? Yeah, the
Including
case.
the case.
Right, yeah. But
I remember when he showed me this guitar for the very first time, he brought out this case. And the case is like falling to pieces, like this tweed case falling to pieces. And I'm like, oh, this is gonna be good. This is gonna be good. This is
I'd
gonna
love
be
to
good.
know
It's
the
like
stories that guitar.
some old blues man played this till he dropped dead. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So how well does the copy compare to the 55?
Unbelievably well. I mean, it's the neck's exactly the same. Even the pickup somehow he kind of mimicked. I don't know how he did it, but put a lot into it, like getting it right. You know, I mean, he did an amazing job. Other than just the whole wear part, which I love, you know, the feel of the neck, the sound of the guitar is unbelievably similar. Yep.
Well, you
got to do a vintage room at some point in time and sell off some of those vintage guitars.
I know. We've talked about it for sure. We've talked about it. Yeah, that might happen, you know.
Well, you occasionally put one up for sale.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it'll probably happen eventually.
Motor City Amp, count me in, says John Clark.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to do it.
If anybody has any ideas, definitely put them up here, you know, like what you think it should be like, you know.
Star amplifiers, nasty. Dave?
No, that's not it. It was why can't I think of this? I know it so well. Oh, what was I can't remember.
Fan of the Wild. Hey guys, thanks for everything you do. Hey, no problem. Super geeky question for you three. What kind of frets do you like? What material and size? And do you believe frets too big can impact intonation negatively?
Okay, so big frets impact intonation negatively. Yeah, if you're
down too hard.
Poor player and you're not fretting the instrument properly and you're pulling it too hard or pushing down on it too hard, yeah, absolutely, big frets can do that. Or maybe if you're using extremely light gauge strings with big frets, also is could be a problem, you know. I kind of like Dunlop 6105s or equivalent.
That's what I like
because it's tall and kind of thinner. I mean, it's as tall as a 6100 fret, but not as wide. Although 6100s can be cool too. But then again, I like some small frets too. So I mean, I could go either way. It was really sort of interesting. Like on the early Ed guitars, they were small frets.
Yeah, on the USA I have is a vintage.
Yeah, vintage style, like Fender frets almost.
Yeah,
and
it plays great.
Know what? It kind of dawned on me one day that kind of made a lot of sense because Ed used very light 9-gauge strings tuned to E flat all the time. And it kind of makes a lot of sense when you think about it. If you use really big frets, there is a much bigger chance with that light of a gauge tuned to E flat to pull that out of tune. There really is, you know.
Didn't his guitars have to be set up for that too? Didn't he like specifically set up his guitars because he was pulling it out of tune in that way?
Yes. And well, no, because actually tuning is less than perfect and he kind of compensated. And yes, the way he played, yes, they kind of dialed in the tuning to work for him. But it kind of makes a lot of sense. The smaller fret with the really light gauge string with a drop tuning. It kind of makes sense. With a 10-gauge set, I mean, the bigger fret might be better. You can get under the string better. You can bend better because you can get under the string. The problem with smaller frets is you can't quite get under the string. You know. So I don't know. I like both. I like a lot of different frets. It just depends on the guitar.
Yeah, you play differently on them too.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's true.
Sometimes I love guitars with high frets that you can really start to dig under, get under the string and really bend and stuff. But then other times I like other things. So I don't know.
I'm exactly the same way. I usually like huge, like the bigger the frets, the better. And
yeah.
But then this guy traded in this 70s Les Paul that had like virtually no frets at all.
Yeah, and you love
it. I'm playing it, and I'm like, I absolutely love this guitar. You play differently,
Yeah.
Like all of a sudden you can do certain things that you can't do on the big fret guitar.
You have to adjust.
Maybe you can't do some of the other things. Yeah.
Well, it's just like anything. It's like you switch gauge strings, or you do anything. You have to adjust to what you just did. Right. Play it for a while, and then maybe
get used to it.
That'll be it.
Yeah. You find yourself doing something different.
L. Scott Music has a suggestion. Motor City amp is a Dirty Shirley circuit with a built-in Buxom boost.
I don't know if that's that. Man, Detroit to me is less pretty than that.
Somebody is suggesting like a seduced tone. That's kind of like what I had.
That would be probably more what I would go for. That would probably be closer to a Jakey Lee sort of circuit.
That raw kind of,
bright,
mean,
stringy kind of thing.
Yeah, totally.
Thanks, Michael, for the question and your super chat. Dave, are you a fan of the DiMarzio Super Distortion? I'm using one and then a Les Paul through a small box and load.
I didn't used to be years ago, and then in more recent years I've been more of a fan. And to be frank, I mean, even a new DiMarzio Super Distortion sounds pretty cool if you're going for a very biting,
mid-range,
gainy kind of tone. It's not my go-to. I mean, my favorite humbucker of all time, period, is the Motor City Second Degree Black Belt.
Awesome.
I mean, Wade, that's my favorite of all time. It's super percussive, super open, and I just love that.
Yeah, I've got that in my my Grover guitar.
Yeah, it sounds great, doesn't it?
Your pickups sound phenomenal too, Dave.
Yeah, they're cool. My pickups are cool.
They really are.
It's kind of the funny thing is I arrived at a sound that was sort of similar to a Second Degree Black Belt, without ever copying it at all, because that's just what my ears heard. It's kind of weird. I would never copy it in the first place,
right?
And by no means is it even close to a copy of it, but sonically it has a similar signature to it.
That would be the you're talking about the Classic Plus, right?
Yeah.
Sharif Shosky, Dave, who would you like to make an amp for that you haven't?
Jimmy Page.
Oh man, that would be so good.
Fall over dead and die then.
Oh
no, that wasn't it either. Why can't I think of it? I don't know why I can't think of this amp company right now.
No.
I wish I could ask someone.
Someone said they thought it was Bad Cat, but it's not.
No.
Let's see. They said I have a few from Wade, Third Degree Black Belt, Afwayu. Tried the T-Rex also.
Yeah, I never had a Third Degree. T-Rex I have in a black Bernie Les Paul Custom I have. That's nice. A great sounding guitar and a great looking guitar.
Those are cool.
Was it Guytron?
From old, like a long time ago. Guytron, thank you. There it is. Guytron. Basically, it was a loaded down two channels of a loaded down 20-watt Marshall into a 100-watt power section. They were like 20-watt Marshalls, so they had like gain or I guess you'd call it gain, tone, and volume per channel, and then it had a master EQ, which was in the 100-watt power section. They were cool sounding amps. That was the concept that you suggested earlier.
Dave, you won't believe it, but Jimmy Page is here.
Oh man.
And he says, he says, make an amp for me if you can't do it for the real Jimmy Page.
No kidding.
Sorry.
Jimmy Page, you need to get that blue check mark like they're doing on Twitter now. You can be verified.
Richard Knoll, can't wait to install my Pariah Pasadena White. That's a good sounding humbucker.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's another Detroit/Canada guy. I'm not sure which one he is.
Yeah, he lives like on the border.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Sean, he's a good guy. Makes great pickups.
Hey, Sean, I want one of your pickups if you're ever listening.
Yeah, send Dave a pickup. Yes, I AB the Classic Plus with the 3rd degree black belt. Classic Plus is a solid pickup and sounded similar acoustically.
Yeah, it was. It's funny. It didn't. I mean, literally, there was no ABing of anything. It was like Grover made a pickup. This like a humbucker, and I'm like, yeah, it could be maybe a little. Maybe it needs to be a little brighter. And then I gave him some offsets that I wanted to try for the Classic Plus. He tried those, and bam, there it was. Now, it sounds similar. It's not quite the same, but it sounds similar. Has some similar characteristics.
Yeah, I mean,
like I said, nothing was ever. We had this discussion with Wade a long time ago. Someone said that someone said to him that I copied his pickup, and never in a million years would I do that. Never even looked at it. No one looked at it ever. And if I gave you a pickup, you could unwind it and see that it has nothing to do with your pickup at all. It's poly wire. His is pure enamel. It's nothing in the same ballpark at all. Sounds good.
Yeah. People just like to stir up drama.
Yeah,
right?
And that's bullshit. It caused a bunch of problems. And I'm like, this is bullshit, man. Don't listen to these people.
Oh, so he called you and was
here's some bots for us. Oops, they're gone now.
Here we go.
They already got nicked.
Oh, good. Thanks. But the hot girls are waiting there, it says. I knew they'd be back. So that's why we want to just limit the chat to just subscribers. So I think that's probably the best bet. Are there any other questions? Because I think we've gone through it all.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we covered a lot of shit. Yeah,
we covered a lot. Yeah,
we covered the basic overview of my life. Kind of. I mean, sort of.
Well, I mean, Marty, it's been great having you on the show, man.
Oh, thanks, man. I really appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah,
it's an honor.
Please go to. You should tell people where they can go to the website or whatever.
MotorCityGuitar.com.
Yeah, we're on MotorCityGuitar.com.
Check out the thing, and I think they're on Facebook, and they're probably on some other things too. Instagram.
Sure. Instagram, Facebook.
Yeah. Definitely check out Motor City Guitar.
Buy some stuff.
I want to check out there. Check out the store next time. Well,
I see behind me some Friedman guitars behind you.
Oh yeah,
I do. I see.
There's a NoHo, correct?
Yes.
In the middle.
And what color is that?
It's like a walnut.
It's a walnut NoHo.
Yep. That was one of the last two that they had of the Grover made ones.
And then there's a Vintage T Classic, I think, or does it have a humbucker in the bridge?
That's got a humbucker in the bridge.
So it's a Vintage.
That was kind of a one-off.
That's a one-off too.
Yeah.
In fact, I don't know if I've ever seen that before.
That's we had
one, and that's all natural finish, right? There's no finish on it.
Yeah, no, it's totally raw
wood.
Yeah.
Wow. Those are cool ones, guys. You should get those.
Yeah.
Because those are kind of one of a kinds. I don't know if we're gonna ever see those again.
Yeah, I was excited to get that walnut one too, and I think we got two like that. They're really cool.
Yeah.
Grover built too.
Yep.
Yeah, those were like they had like 3 or 4 guitars, 5 guitars left, and I think we bought all of them or 4 of them or something.
Yeah, great.
from the Grover,
Yeah,
you know. But I tell you what,
I've never even seen the humbucker telly, to be honest. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's a cool guitar.
Yeah,
definitely, super cool.
Hey,
yeah.
I just wanted to, Thanksgiving's coming up, and I don't get a chance to say thanks to a lot of people all at once. So I just wanted to say, tell all the people out there who, have kept I'm sure I speak for all independent guitar shops. Just thanks for keeping us around. We appreciate you guys. There's so many great musicians that are so loyal. And I can just tell you from all of us independent stores, we really appreciate you guys so much. So I wanted to say thank you for that, and thank you to you guys for doing what you do, and you guys are a total asset to the music community. Everybody loves your show. Really happy to have been on here.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
Appreciate
it, and thanks to you for having
a great store.
Yeah, great store.
It still exists because there's not many around.
My pleasure. Thanks to the veterans for today's Veterans Day. Dave, thank you for a lifetime of friendship, man, brother.
Yeah, man.
I appreciate you so much
Sharif for chiming in so many times.
Yeah,
here, man.
Great to see.
One day, I'd love to see you again, man.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
You guys
do a little. What was the name of our band?
I don't even remember.
Sanctuary. I'm gonna find that video when I find that video.
God, no, you're not. Don't find it.
or the video of us in the talent show. Remember that?
Oh, yeah, it was that. Yeah, that was funny. Where I fell on my ass.
Melissa, my wife, was the singer. Well,
Yeah, we did a talent show. We did a Pat Benatar song.
Wow.
And during the talent show, I fell flat on my ass. I tripped over a cord or something and literally fell flat on my ass.
Oh, you did a good job. You hit it.
They had to close the curtain. They started again.
Did they? Yeah, I don't remember that part.
They did.
Yeah, that was good. Also proud of Melissa. She got a standing O when she did her little solo there.
It was great.
Melissa sends her love, by the way, Dave.
Oh, I haven't seen her in years.
I know. She wants to see you.
Well, next time I'm in town, let's go to dinner or something. Come on.
For sure.
Like every time I'm in town, I don't see her. So
I know. She wants to see you too.
Yeah.
Thanks to you too, hon. Melissa's she's the best. I'd be nothing without her. So would the store.
That's awesome.
Was it Sanctuary after Logan's Run?
No.
I don't remember why we named it that. It was great though. I can't wait to find that video. You're gonna love it.
Oh man, please.
Actually, that talent show's on video too.
Oh my God.
Oh no, man.
He's like, no.
God, no. Please no.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, we'd like to thank the veterans, anybody who served. Thank you for your service.
Absolutely.
And our next show is, Nick Bocott, the day after Thanksgiving, November 25th.
From Sweetwater.
That'll be a Sweetwater special show.
Cool.
And then
Nick has a long history in the music business. We can talk about his tenure in the bands in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
We can talk about his tenure at Marshall.
And he's a fellow lefty.
And he's a fellow lefty, yes. And a very cool dude.
Yeah.
Funny guy too. Yeah.
Yeah, he is funny. And then on December 8th, 9th, we're having oh my God, I'm totally drawing a blank on his name now. What the hell, man? What is going on with me? Why can't I remember his name? I'm scrolling now to find his.
It's like me with Guytron. I couldn't remember.
Yeah, what the fuck? Oh my God, Steve Rosen.
Yes,
Steve Rosen,
the journalist Steve Rosen from the Van Halen days.
Yeah,
there is some incredible fucking interviews that he did over the years that are out there on audio.
Yeah,
with Ed.
I can't wait to
That's
talk
gonna be
to him.
fun.
Yeah, I mean, we have referenced that one interview that he did so many times where
Ed's playing clean, completely clean, and he's talking about. I think he's talking about Van Halen 2. at
Yes.
the time. And oh yeah, what did you do? What are some of the new riffs on the Van Halen record? You know, and it's like 70s kind of Stephen Rosen 70s style, and and Ed just plays them, but clean. But every harmonic, every fucking pull off, every pick squeal, everything clean.
Yeah, he's doing like the like that harmonic thing where he's running his hand up the back,
Clean.
on the neck, doing the
no
pull
distortion.
Yeah, you just hear all the harmonics going up with nothing.
Then I always reference that. I go, you want to know how Ed got his sound? Right there. It was in his hands.
Absolutely.
That's
Couldn't
what
agree
it
more.
was. It wasn't the amp. It wasn't everything else. I mean, yes, they had a great amp, great everything, but it was in his hands because
that
he could
right
do
hand
it clean.
Yeah.
You play that stuff clean. I want to see you.
No doubt.
Good luck.
Agree 1,000,000%.
Yeah. If you can play it clean, you're going to sound amazing through an amp.
All great players, to me, like a huge part of the tone is coming from that right hand,
Yeah, it's all the right hand. All the tone is from the right hand.
Yeah. You get a killer amp on top of it, it's great. But like, that's it. You can hear. Doesn't matter what you're playing through. It's just some players just that right hand.
Absolutely. That's where it all comes from.
I always think of that Funk 49 intro. How much better could that Joe Walsh thing?
Stephen Rosen crosses the line in his book. I think I got that book, Mark, by the way. I haven't opened it yet.
Oh, did you?
I think. I'm pretty sure
I haven't gotten mine yet, but
I'm pretty sure I did. I think he might be out here, right?
Yes, he's closer to you.
So I think I got it. I just haven't.
His book is insulting. Well, there's probably things that
it's insulting, really?
I doubt it. I seriously
I don't know.
The guy is a very, very, very big fan of Ed. And if anything he's saying, I bet you it's probably true. So I doubt it. Let's see. Well, anyway, so that's Steve Rosen is coming on the 9th, I believe. And then we're also having Dan and Sean Tubbs from Rev who are going to be coming on.
Cool.
We're going to talk about Sean's pedal and stuff.
We're just going to all drink whiskey and get drunk on that show.
Yes.
They were just in the store last week.
Were they? Both of them?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Man, Sean is like unbelievably good. Both those guys are great players, but it was.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sean's amazing.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. He's such a great player. And he's so humble, too. Another one of those guys like, shucks, I'm not that good. And you're like, get out of here, man.
Yeah. Nice guy. Really nice guy.
Really, really nice.
Great player.
Yeah. Well, thanks again, Marty, for coming on, man. You're a really, really nice guy. And
thanks so much, man. Thank you guys for having me on. One more thank you too. I wanted to thank the crew here at Motor City. You guys are the best too. Don't get a chance to thank them enough.
That's great. Well, make sure you guys check out Motor City Guitar. Check out the website or their stuff on Reverb or eBay and all the socials. And we'll be back. We'll see you in a couple weeks. All right. If we don't see you, we'll see you the day after Thanksgiving. So have a great Thanksgiving also. Okay. Marty, hang on while we say goodbye. All right.
All right.
Take care, everybody.
See ya.
Take care.